got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer.
All right, good morning and welcome in. Happy Monday. It's Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone. 1620thezone.com. The Zone Radio Network, the Zone mobile app. The Zone is everywhere. It is Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, and Peter Krenzer.
Hello.
The second non-Mike S to fill in.
Yeah, this is getting
for
a little
someone
ridiculous.
on this show. It is. It really is. That's okay. Peter Mann is here, and he's ready to roll. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
You've got your Nebraska stuff on because you've shed your Royals gear and put it away for the year.
It'll be brought back out next March.
It makes a lot of sense to me. Although they did win 3 games in a row this weekend, which was miraculous.
I was
Look at
genuinely
that.
shocked when I saw the score last night.
Yesterday was quite the miracle, actually. Did you see what happened in the Royals game yesterday, Mike Schaefer?
There was a bunch of rain that delayed things until later. Mike Trout hit a home run. That's about the extent of the knowledge that I have. It was 7-4, I think, at some point.
Yeah, it was worse than that, wasn't it, Peter?
6-0
Yeah.
Angels at one point.
Yep.
Sunday night baseball at 3:00.
And they
Yeah, I
got
was gonna
it.
And then
Say,
it
like-
still got delayed anyway.
Yep.
It was the last game of the day. Did they move it up because
It
of
was
the rain?
originally it was supposed
Gotcha.
to be Peacock at like 6:30.
And
Yeah.
then they were like, actually, we're going to play at 3, and then they didn't end up starting till, 6 anyway?
How was
Almost six.
Stauskas on the call?
No Stauskas. It was my guy, Benetti.
Wow. That's a lot better than Stauskas.
Benetti and Eric Hosmer and some other guy.
Well, Hosmer's probably closer to Stauskas.
I actually thought
would say.
Hosmer, I think, they're working
He's
at all
still
these new
trying to
guys.
fight everybody who doesn't think that he's an amazing player.
No, it does not appear so.
Did you miss that? Like the last couple of weeks, he was getting after baseball media members because
on
he
on
had-
Twitter?
yeah, he had some sort of take, and then there was some pushback from like, Lance Brozdowski was one of them, and just these super nerds. And it was pointed out like that Hosmer had a really nice career in a narrative sense, but like statistically
Mhm.
didn't have like that phenomenal of one.
Sure.
And so he was just sort of going back and forth with various people over this.
Wow, I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
did not see this. I did not
None
hear
of it
about
was that
this.
important, but it made me laugh.
Oh, he is tweeting at this Lance Braz guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Lance Braz, it's one thing to put words in my mouth on a podcast episode or if we're having some fun, but to do it on a network broadcast ain't it. Get my number from Cliff Floyd. Let's talk.
There's another
know.
one in there.
Let's
I don't know if there was
talk.
another tweet or if it
There's
was
like a 3-minute video here. He must this Lance Braz guy must have torn him apart.
Well, the whole thing was about Nico Horner. That's the part of it that I don't
See,
know.
I think Hosmer does a pretty good job on the baseball stuff. At least maybe it seems like he does a better job because the other people that the Royals have introduced to these broadcasts have not done such a great job, in my opinion. But he might be the best out of the bunch. as of
Sometimes
right
propping yourself up off of everyone else is not a bad way to go.
Exactly. It's been done many, many times before. So welcome to a Monday show, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. Maybe you even experienced the splendor of east of 114th Street.
Oh, wow. There's a whole world out there. I couldn't believe it.
I assume you did this
Public
weekend.
art,
Unbelievable.
playgrounds.
Like you went all the way to the east.
Yeah.
You
no,
went as
it-
far east as you could go.
About.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple
No.
blocks off of it.
We ventured to downtown Omaha.
Wow.
Nothing bad happened. We might even do it again.
Why would anything bad happen?
Well, you never know.
It's awesome. I'm downtown in
You leave
Omaha
the
all the
really-
time.
Really safe streets of Bennington for the unknown out there in the world.
Gee,
What could
Schaefer,
happen?
you sound ridiculous. I'm downtown all the time, and I've never had anything bad happen to me.
Just stuck in traffic.
Just stuck in traffic. That's actually
Which wasn't a thing on Saturday. It was easy enough. So that wasn't a problem.
They didn't feel the need to close any bridges this weekend due to streetcar construction. So that's great.
This is good.
They didn't feel the need to close any interstates.
The only thing shut down was you couldn't go on the grass of that mall area because it had just been freshly fertilized. So they had everybody kept off of it. But
Bummer.
otherwise, it was good. It
least
was
they
good.
have
Hudson enjoyed
grass.
the play at Archie's Playground, I think it's called,
Okay.
down there.
I haven't
and,
experienced the new look Gene Leahy Mall.
Yeah, it was. I think you would enjoy. Your child would certainly enjoy going down there. He had a great time.
Fantastic. Well, today on the show, we have many things coming up, including, but not limited to, Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska will join us at 8:30.
You saw they picked up a commit yesterday.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I haven't really looked into it. That's why Tim's here.
Pretty big one.
Well, that's
So,
why
yeah.
Mike Schaefer's here too, I guess.
Oh, no. Tim's your guy, but this is someone that he's been talking about hitting at, has been a Nebraska lean for a while. So to go get a 4-star safety out of Florida.
So you're telling me he's good.
The feeling is that he's good.
Is he going to
But
get
is anybody
drafted
really
into the
good?
NFL? Is he going to get drafted in the NFL? Because nobody gets drafted.
Yeah,
Nobody gets
look,
drafted.
I'm not willing to say that he's definitely going to get drafted, but percentage-wise, he has a better chance of getting drafted if he remains ranked a 4-star by the evaluator.
Yeah, but at some point you have to stop being a 4-star and start.
No, you have to
being
start being an actual college
a
football
freshman.
player.
Yes,
I'm just saying if you're playing the percentages, it's higher because he's a 4-star than
that's
if
true.
he wasn't.
That is definitely true. I just hope that somebody can get drafted.
Well, someone did get drafted.
Yeah, I guess there was one.
There was one.
If it's
That's
one,
more the Wisconsin version of us. They didn't have anyone get drafted.
That's true.
We've been there before.
and Nebraska's definitely been there before. We'll talk about Nebraska's ongoing draft. I guess not a drought, but more like a. Yeah, I guess it is kind of a drought. A little.
Definitely a
That's a
draft.
fair
Yeah,
descriptor.
a little bit of water. The water's not completely shut off. There's a little bit there. Michael Bruns will join us at 9:15. We'll talk about the weekend in baseball.
The overhit.
The
but
overhit.
Barely.
The overhit.
A lot of things had to happen for that overhit.
There was some concern about that overhitting on multiple games this weekend that involved Nebraska.
What's his name?
Baseball.
Lou Rice?
His name is Lou Rice, the great Bambino.
Walk-off Lou, they call him.
That wimpy deer. Exactly. Smoked it off the foul pole, and Creighton won and hit that over for both of us. We wagered no money on the fact that Nebraska and Creighton
Our pride was on the line.
combined for over 4.5 wins this weekend, and they did exactly that. They got 5. Nebraska fell short on Friday, but came back to win over the other 2 games of the weekend in relative convincing fashion. So elsewhere, excuse me, on the show today, we'll have draft things, recaps from the Nebraska side of things, from the NFL side of things. The Memorial Stadium press conference was on Friday. Just amazing to me that one of the main topics that comes out of this is troughs. Amazing.
Trough guy Troy, he's going to be known as.
Mr. Trough, I guess.
Oh, yeah, he could be Mr. Trough, but he's not really Mr. Trough, as they'll meet their demise under his guy.
I can't wait to talk about this, I guess, later on in the show.
We really don't have to talk about the trough aspect of it
He
at all.
said at a historic press conference with the leader of the Board of Regents on him and the president of the university on his other side, I consider myself Team Trough. And I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? This is not a conversation. When you build a new stadium, you don't get troughs anymore. That's what happens.
Well, they're not building a new stadium.
When you have a 100-year-old stadium, you might have some troughs. You shouldn't. It's not up to code, and it shouldn't exist at all. But I guess. Weird. What a weird place we live in. So we'll have more on the stadium as we go on throughout the show, and more than just troughs. That is for sure. Apparently, we are planning to mention the NBA and NHL playoffs today. Is this true? You wrote it down on the sheet.
I felt like if we wanted to, we could just mention that they were ongoing. Some teams have put themselves in position to advance, and then we can move on from there.
I watched the Denver Nuggets get into a fight, and they have now turned into one of those teams who, well, I mean, there's some history obviously with them and the Timberwolves, but they have now become the team that doesn't really look like they're much of a team for the actual basketball game part of things. And then they fight the other team at the end of the game. And then they're like, we poured our heart and soul out there, but actually you didn't. So thanks, Nuggets.
Hey, they still have a great opportunity in front of them with no Anthony Edwards. So
yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, what is Io? Is Io going to go off every game?
I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't. But we will nominally mention the NBA and NHL playoffs. Somebody, and by that somebody I mean Diego Pavia, is surprised that Diego Pavia is not drafted over the weekend. We will talk about Diego Pavia.
Sad, severe. He wanted to follow his career.
I cannot believe that there's a person who likes that person. Creighton Volleyball had a big announcement yesterday. They're bringing in the national champions next year in volleyball, among others, by the way. But I don't think this is breaking news. That will be the biggest game they have at DJ Sokol Arena, especially considering they are the defending national champion. A departure of some sort for Nebraska basketball, but not a player. And people are telling me that it is not insignificant. Yeah. All right. So we will get to that during the show today as well. We would like to hear from you all. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at us on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed at Happer and Schaefer, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer. You can email Connor, Mike at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to our YouTube streamers today, where Chris says, how about that softball team? How about them? They won like 100-0 over the weekend again. And you know, if you were like Jack Mitchelling this thing and you wanted to, like, for some reason you thought that like the softball team and the volleyball team can make up for the fact that Nebraska football like always constantly loses to Wisconsin and Iowa, then you're a happy man right now.
Yeah.
If you think that way.
I think like if we wanted to call something Jack Mitchelling, we'd have to drill in on like 50 potential items.
Yeah.
That could fit in that. But this is definitely one of them.
I think he's one of the, he's one of the people that I know, maybe one of the only people that I know that looks, I mean, he just has a really unique opinion on, or I guess barometer on how he feels about sports in a given moment. It's like it's a constant gas tank, and football just like drains his gas tank. But every sport,
but then Dream Crush season raises his
like
gas
every
tank.
sport counts exactly the same. Which is like none of them are weighted more than the other, which is always really odd to me. Because I certainly have things that I care about more than some things, but Jack has somehow made it up in his mind where football matters the same. And maybe that's just protecting himself.
I would guess it's some level of protectionism.
Yeah.
Knowing him fairly well, I don't think that everything is quite the same, but he might, I think, in a way, convince himself of that so he can just feel this, I guess. No, I mean, he genuinely cares about volleyball on a really, I don't know that softball and volleyball would be the equivalent of each other.
When he looks up and sees that Nebraska beat Iowa, whatever it was,
it's the Iowa
weekend.
piece of
yeah.
it.
When he looks up and sees that Nebraska beat Iowa in 3 games this weekend, whatever the score was, I don't know, 50. Let's just say it was 50-0. It wasn't that, but around there.
Yeah, that's probably ballpark.
He looks up and just like he's like, when the Grinch smiles at the end of the Grinch, and his smile just gets really gigantic. That's Jack Mitchell. It's like this gas tank just lights up.
Yeah,
full tank of gas.
Yeah, it's the Iowa Schadenfreude, I suspect.
That's fine. That's good. And we had the Zach Bryan concert this weekend at Memorial Stadium, and what's this? It went off without a hitch.
No issues.
Okay, all right. I'm hearing different things. I'm hearing conflicting things in my ears right
It started on time.
now. It started on time.
I think we could get a live report during the crossover. Not a live report.
Live
but
report. Is it still going?
It's happened. It's
maybe
still
he's
rolling
still
into
there. Who
Monday.
knows? We might still be waiting for Kings of Leon to come on.
Kings of Leon circling back.
I want those last 6 songs in the set. Where did they go?
I saw many posts about the last 6 songs.
There is a lot of people who were asking for things that they were never going to get on Saturday night. That much is for sure. All right. So we are off and running here on a Monday. Our man of the weekend coming up at the end of the hour. I'm excited to share with Schaefer my man of the weekend this weekend. Peter Ban, if you have a man of the weekend, feel free to toss him in there.
All
I know
right.
you weren't prepared for this, but throw a man of the weekend in there if you could think of somebody. Maybe you could make it Lane Thomas. Although I never thought Lane Thomas would be my man.
There's never going to be an opportunity except right now.
That's right. There would be no other chances.
In October, it would have been October 12th of 2024. He was definitely my man of the weekend.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive.
He hit the grand slam off of Scooble to win game 5.
That's right.
That was man of the weekend.
I guess he just hits walk-off home runs to make people in this room happy.
Yes.
That's just what he does.
This was a 5th inning home run, but it basically walked the Tigers off out of that series. So it's nice to see that he can still hit again, because right after that, roughly, I don't think
he can't.
I don't
He
think he
can't
ever
hit.
hit another baseball that was consequential.
No, he can't hit.
Okay.
So don't get it twisted. He did hit the ball last night over the fence, and it resulted in a Royals win, but that is not normal.
It was an abnormal occurrence.
It was.
Okay.
It
That
was.
makes more sense based on how the last couple years seemed like that.
Very abnormal.
He's the new Carlos Santana. From Cleveland, where he stopped hitting to
without the walking.
No, he doesn't walk.
Yeah.
He doesn't run anymore either. He doesn't really steal bases.
Yeah.
Not a great defender.
Glad he's on a major league roster. All right. So we are off and running on a Monday. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone. Thank you for that commercial. If you're watching along or listening along with us on the radio, the Sweet 98.5 Cinco de Mayo parade. Thank you for reminding me that it is May at the end of this week. That is very much appreciated. That would help too, because that means it's my anniversary.
Oh, look at that.
Which means I'm
They're
going
helping
to
ya.
eat a big steak on Friday.
Oh.
I'm going to eat a big steak on Friday.
You figured out where you're eating this big steak?
Yes, the same place every year.
All right. Did you make reservations already?
Long ago, thank God.
You made the reservations. You didn't remember.
Just didn't know it was May this
the
week,
day.
which I didn't
know. I mean, I
which
knew,
I didn't either.
I was looking. I've been looking forward to the dinner, obviously, for a very long time, as I always do. But I just didn't know it was this week until just now.
Will you get a side with
It's a
it?
sneaky May 1st on a Friday.
Many sides.
Okay.
Many sides.
Are they like
This is
table
what we
size?
like to
Like
hear.
steak places, it's all sort of unique how they end up doing
I
it.
mean, pretty. It's pretty. I mean, I don't know, medium-sized sides.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not.
Like shared between two people.
It will be the sides will be shared, of course. Yes, of course. There will be much money that will be spent. at
Oh,
this-
well, that's immaterial.
at this meal. Yeah, exactly. And then it's Kids Day tomorrow at the ballpark.
Whoa.
Usually on Kids Day, it is nicer weather, but I think we're looking at
Yeah, tomorrow stinks.
Yeah, we're looking at stinky
Like
this week.
58 and
It's gonna
cloudy.
be cold this week.
Are we?
A
Yeah.
little chilly.
Are we gonna end up playing tomorrow morning? I guess that's
I
a
don't think there's
I
rain in the
think.
forecast.
56 and cloud.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I overshot it.
That is no good. That is no good. So we don't like that. Mark Kingston will join the show on Wednesday.
To talk about the Dolphins draft.
Talk about the Dolphins draft, of course. It actually, okay, I know, Big East baseball, whatever. Roll your eyes.
Yeah.
St. John's and Creighton this weekend, it's all on the line. It's all on the line in Queens. They ought to get Gus Johnson out there.
So what is actually on the line? Like the
Basically-
regular season title.
Basically, the
Okay.
regular season title.
All right.
Yeah.
I
I
just
mean,
wanted to clarify.
for all intents and purposes, the regular season title. Especially if one team sweeps. Creighton has a 1-game lead in the Big East at the moment over St. John's. And Creighton needs as much padding as they can get because St. John's finishes with, I believe, Villanova and Butler, who they're going to sweep Villanova. They may not sweep Butler. But Creighton still
Did
has
Butler earn your respect this weekend?
Butler is definitively better. Big East baseball update. Butler is definitively better than Villanova and Seton Hall. 100%.
Well, I mean, that should be if that's the barometer.
but we thought that they were going to be in the. I mean, they lost by 100 to Wichita State.
What was the final results of Villanova Seton Hall?
That's a great question. I didn't.
Did
even,
anyone sweep someone, or was it a split? Well, you can't split it.
I imagine it was a 2 out of 3 by somebody.
Yeah.
At one
I'm
point
gonna
on
guess Seton Hall.
What's that, Peter?
At one point on Saturday, about halfway through the second game of the series, I was like, "Will Butler score this weekend?" And then they did.
They did. They got a 3-run home run and then a 2 RBI single, and then all hell broke loose in the Saturday game, and they didn't score quite as much on Sunday. So yes, it appears as if Seton Hall was able to win 2 out of 3 this
look at that.
weekend against Villanova. So Villanova.
I never did check in to see what the Saturday crowd was at this Big East Classic. Here.
Villanova trapped in the gutter of the Big East, it appears, because they will not be winning any more games, and I'm not sure Seton Hall will either.
Well, they won their important series then.
They did. Two wins is better than 1.
You don't think either could beat Georgetown?
I don't. I think that
Georgetown already beat both of them.
I
Is
think
that
they
where
may
all
have
of Georgetown's
okay.
wins have come
So
from?
Seton Hall still gets Georgetown to end the season, and wow, neither of them have played Georgetown yet.
So
Okay, I guess
Georgetown could rip off 6 wins.
I
here.
guess I don't know. I don't have the scout on Georgetown, but they do have 4 wins against teams that aren't Seton Hall and Villanova.
So they could theoretically they could rip off 6 wins and get to 10.
in theory, yes,
10
that
would
is
put them like what 6 in the conference.
that is possible. Georgetown beat St. John's once, which is a huge deal right now, as far as Creighton is concerned in the league, and they did beat Xavier once as well. So Yeah. Georgetown can rip off a bunch of wins here.
Okay.
I don't think that they're going to make the Big East tournament because that is almost already been decided already.
It seems like
It's pretty close.
It seems like
There's still 3 weekends left, and it's very, very clear who the top 4 teams are. There's your Big East baseball update. No Big East baseball game tomorrow. Just a game involving a Big East baseball team with North Dakota State at Charles Schwab Field for Kids Day, which is always a lot of fun. A bunch of screaming kids. This past weekend at the other big stadium in the state, there was rain, there was very little shine, and there was supposed to be a Zach Bryan concert. It didn't go over very well. I saw some people.
Do you think the rain or the tears caused more ground saturation?
Who was crying?
Well, people were just upset with how everything was playing out.
I think the rain by a little bit.
I would guess the rain.
I think the rain by a little bit. What are you supposed to do? It rained, you know.
Well, it wasn't just the rain.
It thunderstormed.
Right. And I think if it was just rain, the concert would have gone on.
Yeah.
But the storms in the area meant that they could not do the concert.
Sometimes, man, like, you know, sometimes stuff just happens and you end up taking a bath on a concert that you've been waiting a long time. Like, it sucks, you know. Sometimes something that you've been looking forward to.
If you stood outside, you would have taken a literal bath.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes something that you've been looking forward to for a really long time just doesn't live up to the expectation.
Every Viking season.
I've said this about other things. So people have this sort of like entitlement of like this. I am required. Every game is required to be good. Now, this is not quite in the same category. You paid for a concert ticket, whatever. But you also knew that it was outside in April. And there was a threat of it going haywire because there were going to be, you know, it was going to be April.
And there's no roof on the stadium.
There's no roof on the stadium. There's
an
nothing
outdoor
to protect
venue.
you.
Everyone's like, hey, we need more outdoor concerts at Memorial Stadium.
And so I think it was a smart call by the people in charge over there at Nebraska to not let people in the gates until the storm had passed. And then you go as hard as you can for as long as you can from there. And it looked like a good crowd when it got to full tilt. That's what it looked like to me from the pictures that I saw.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Well, and give people credit for even doing it. I'm sure some acts would have pulled out entirely at that point.
Agreed. Apparently, he likes rain, I guess.
Yeah, I guess he's done.
He does a lot of tweets.
As someone who knows nothing about Zach Bryan, I've heard from multiple people, and it was on Twitter or whatever else. Like, he's done lots of shows in the rain. It's just they couldn't do the show because of the storms in the area. So that was your situation on Saturday.
He does a lot of tweets, that's for sure. One of them was he was responding to people for a while on Twitter. So somebody said partial refunds need to be given. I know a lot of this was out of your control, but we got half a show. Very disappointing. And then he responded and said, Karen, tweet. And by he meant ass.
Is 20 songs now a half show?
Yeah, it's not a half a show. But so that should be noted here. Is this a good way to go about getting in the responses and starting to reply to people? Is this a good way to go about your business? Probably not.
No.
Hey, I've jumped in the replies before.
I don't know that the repercussions will be that severe for him if he does. I don't think it's that bad of a response either.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with it.
No. Somebody else responded to that and said, what a scum response to a fan who probably waited all night to see you in the opening artist. I paid over $1,000 to see this show and waited in my car for over 4 hours. Minimal communication by the stadium and Zach Bryan himself. Ridiculous. So my question is, I love when people do the communication thing because like when they know, you're going to know like within 2 minutes. When a decision is made, they're going to communicate this within 2 minutes. And until then, you are in the holding pattern of whatever pattern you're in at the exact moment. So
think of literally every rain delay in every baseball.
We could come up with maybe a line where you could talk to a robot the entire time and they could give you constant updates on what is going on, like on every droplet that hits the ground or something like that. Or you could just be like everybody else and sit until you're told to not sit anymore. I mean, that's kind of the story here.
The alternative is
it's a
basically like what? Like what's the alternative in this scenario?
I don't know, go home and just completely just axe it.
So I mean, that's more or less what you have here.
Headley says that's why I downloaded ChatGPT. Yeah, you could have got constant updates. You would have typed more into your ChatGPT during the time in which you were trying to find out what was going on with the concert. So no, what more can you do? And of course, that was coming off of the stadium announcements on Friday, which had nothing to do with that. So there was a lot of stuff going on at the stadium over this weekend. But we had NFL draft stuff. We had some playoff stuff that was going on, of course, as well. But I hope everybody had a pretty good time at the Zach Bryan, like 75% of the concert.
Yeah, I think worse than not getting all of the Zach Bryan songs is you got none of the Kings of Leon. So
none of them.
That would have been the entire reason I would have had interest in going.
Mm-hmm.
And really only for like the two songs that everybody knows.
But so they had to cut it short because there was more lightning coming in afterwards. Sure. So they had to jam it all in. Into
I also didn't know if there
time.
was like some sort of city curfew or anything like that.
I don't know. That I don't know about.
I know nothing about that specifically, but yeah, I mean, it's a really unfortunate weather situation. Like short of canceling it and rescheduling, which seems like the sort of massive undertaking that would never happen.
Very difficult.
This was making the best of a bad situation that nobody was excited about.
So we're gonna have our man of the weekend when we come back, but we're getting constant lacrosse updates now from Sam.
Yeah, he's basically the lacrosse correspondent for Happer and Schaefer.
This is good. This is good because as we know, lacrosse is the sport of the BTN, and we have to pay attention.
Who won the big semifinals?
Because
did Sam let us know?
The BTN has to. Well, there was some drama in
lacrosse drama.
There was some drama in professional lacrosse this weekend, which Sam has, of course, updated us on throughout the weekend. So we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get to our man of the weekend up on the other side on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone.
right, it's time for our man of the weekend. We got some things from you. We got some stuff from us. Devo's got one already. We have many, many lacrosse things from Sam. Does anybody... By the way, Peter, did you come up with anything? You got anything? It's fine if you don't.
I was just going to go with your beautiful pick of Lane Thomas, because when else are we going to have a chance to give praise to Lane Thomas, who I'm not quite sure will be on the roster?
Oh, he'll be around, Peter. That's the thing about these people. They stay around for a long, long time without doing anything. But it's nice that he did something. It's nice that he did something. So I like that pick. Lane Thomas is Peter's man of the weekend. Schaefer?
I am going to give my man of the weekend to someone who wore a green suit as he got married yesterday. Nicholas Grimm.
Whoa!
Congratulations.
Shout out to Nick.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Incredible.
Man of the weekend. It was the fastest wedding service I have ever attended.
Wow.
Slated to start at 3:00. I rolled in at like 2:55 because I was I just stopped and buy the wedding card on the way.
That's normal.
There.
Yeah.
And I also had to get gas, which I hadn't factored in the gas. I factored in the card. So I was running a little behind. Still got there before 3. Barely beat the bride coming up to walk down the aisle.
Whoa.
I got in just in time ahead of that. And then the bride was making her way down. It wasn't even 3 yet. Everything was done by 3:04. It was incredible.
And then what happened?
Then there was just a reception.
I was going to check in with some of you guys who were there. I didn't make it out because of a variety of different reasons, but you did. So now I look back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't have to call a baseball game before, so I had nothing else going on. No, it was a great day, a great reception. John Bishop stopped by on his way back from.
He did. He told me he was going
Lincoln.
to. I said, give everybody my best, my regards.
He and we had a really dumb conversation, as one might expect, and now I can't even remember what it was about. Other people from the building were there as well. I saw Chance for the first time in what feels like years, and I didn't realize how much hair he has now.
Chance.
Like, he has some locks.
He does.
He would not have been anywhere near the shears that were out at the end of the game yesterday.
Chance is going, he would not have been. No.
So, yeah, it was a great time. Saw George. He was part of the wedding party. You remember George?
I do remember George.
And so nobody apparently read the wedding website because everyone sort of responded, well, wait, George is here? It's like, well, he was one of the groups.
Yeah, I saw George on the list of people.
And then they're like, how did you know this? And I was like, it's on the wedding website.
It's on the website.
I'm also the sort of person that reads through the capsules of each person.
Oh, I do too. I'm
always fascinated by it.
I think that's really important.
If you have a wedding website and you have capsules, you sent me one for a wedding that I'm not even going to.
Yeah.
I like to read that stuff. So people keep doing it. People that aren't reading it, shame on you.
By the way, I sent you a very small snippet of that one.
Yeah, you didn't send me everything.
It was in the voice of the person who wrote it, very much so. So you got to read the capsules. I completely agree.
The capsules are great.
Luke writes in on the text line, a wedding on a Sunday? Yes.
Okay, so here is something that I mentioned to Alyssa, who was there.
Yes.
And we were both marveling at this. All 3 of the producers of Happer and Schaefer, of Middays with Matt, of Unsportsmanlike Conduct, were involved with a wedding on a Sunday yesterday.
Really?
Which is bizarre for multiple reasons.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't know that Josh was.
Yeah, that's why he wasn't at.
Wow.
He had a family one.
Wow.
Kidding. Okay. I thought he was at Nick's. Okay. Well, that's fun.
Dang.
What are the odds?
Yeah, that's really odd.
Yeah. The odds are very astronomical.
I don't even know that I've ever even gone to a wedding on a Sunday.
I think I've been to 2. Max Olson got married on a Sunday.
Okay.
It was also the season finale of one of the big years of Game of Thrones. So there was like this whole buzz at the wedding about how everybody was staying off of their phones to not get spoilers at the end of the reception.
Okay, that's
to then
funny.
race back to wherever they were staying to then go watch this 2 hours after everyone else.
That's a moment in time.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
We can bring this up on Thursday.
Shout out to your man of the weekend is Nick
Grimm,
yes.
who had a green suit.
Green suits are cool. My brother-in-law got married in a green suit.
He looked very sharp in it too. I was
there was no rain during that.
They got very, very lucky in that the rain all came earlier. I drove in maybe 5 minutes of rain. By about 2:45, everything had cleared up. By about 3:15, the sun was out, and they had an outdoor wedding. Everything went perfect for them.
Awesome.
So it was a great day for the Grimm. So,
did you follow the instructions and wear florals?
Wear what?
Any flowers?
No,
I believe that was in the instructions.
I didn't know if that was for me or for the women.
I believe it's for everybody.
Oh well,
if I was gonna go, I was gonna wear a flowery tie.
Do you have a flowery tie?
Absolutely, I have multiple.
You have multiple flowery tops.
Ties.
I heard tops. I was like, first of all, who calls it?
Yeah, you can have a flowery tie.
Yeah, I have some flowery ties. I could have worn a flowery tie.
Of course.
I didn't wear a tie.
That's okay.
I look like an assistant basketball coach. That's what I determined when I walked.
You should have just worn a
quarter zip.
Anytime
I wear like dress pants, I always think I look like something else.
Just
never myself.
Just pull out the rug and wear a quarter zip next time. That's what college basketball coaches are doing.
What do you think I wore?
Just a quarter.
Yep.
Okay. I thought you went with the suit jacket. And
I was going to, and then I was like, if it rains, I don't want to mess with this. I'm wearing a quarter zip.
All right, good job.
There we were.
Good luck. You didn't get any hey, what the heck is going on here?
No, this is what I do. I instantly check to make sure that there was someone that I deemed wearing something less respectable than me. I was fine.
Okay, good job. All right, let's go to my man of the weekend. My man of the weekend is not a man, but an occurrence that allows a man to continue to be a great, great man. And my man of the weekend is rain delays.
Okay.
So rain delays always give us a tremendous amount of content. And you have broadcasters saying ridiculous things, telling stories of olden times and things like that. And so we got a snippet into one of them on I think this was Friday night between the Reds and the Tigers. Of course, Jason Benetti is the voice of the Detroit Tigers now because the White Sox didn't appreciate him enough, and he could have stayed there for life. They are idiots. Here is a couple minutes of Jason Benetti just doing really good and
that was good.
So thanks, rain delays. Our man of the weekend.
The college game day was perfect.
College game day brought to you by the Home Depot.
The McDonough came out of nowhere. I was like, I've never seen anyone who's done a McDonough impression.
So like, I don't even know. It's like monotone.
Yes, the inflection was just perfect,
with just the most insane voice cracks during any moment of excitement.
I'm sure if you got him off air, he would give the voice cracks too, but didn't want to go too far out of control. For risk of offending anybody. But yeah, so that would that is perfect rain delay content. Just give Benetti a microphone and just let him go.
More Benetti in general, but I'm pretty sure Benetti was the one that out of nowhere, Norm Macdonald started accosting him about something and then wanted to tell him a joke. I gotta look this up.
I feel like there was something with Norm Macdonald. What a tremendous guy. My man of the weekend is rain delays. I don't want to wax poetic about Benetti, but he's probably the best guy that we have going right now in the announcing game. So did you find anything, by the way, on Norm? And
so he did an interview where he talked about being at the airport. Norm Macdonald comes up to him and then tells him that he's working on a joke, and it has a punchline that I can't use here.
So I'm sure he does the Norm impression of
I don't know if I don't think he did necessarily on there, but a good Norm impression would be.
But that was his bit. It's just obscure impressions. Why do you have an impression of Sean McDonough of all people? Because you can.
And it works because it's someone you don't expect the impression of, but it's also a voice that well. You've heard him call enough things.
Sabres and Bruins. That was just so good. I can't believe he just pulled that out of nowhere. Debo, man of the weekend, Jay Woodcroft, the former Oiler head coach and now assistant coach on Anaheim, using his knowledge to keep McDavid off the score sheet and get the Ducks one win away from round 2. Wow, I can't believe it.
A lot of words.
Also, Jason, here's Sam. Jason Knox, forward Halifax Thunderbirds, with a 6-point night, sparking a 9-0 run to lead the 8-seed Birds to a first-round upset of number 1 seed Vancouver Warriors in the NLL Champions Cup playoffs. That, of course, is the National Lacrosse League.
Halifax.
# relaxin'.
Wow.
That's what he wants to call that new segment. So we'll
Halifax could end up being the city of the day.
Yeah, watch out. Watch out. You never know. You could be a city of the day and the main of the weekend in the same week. All right. Let's take a break. We will come back. 7 o'clock hour is coming up. We'll get into some stadium thoughts outside of the rainy Zach Bryan concert from over the weekend. We have baseball to cover from over the weekend as well. Plenty up on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we welcome you back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, and Peter Krenzer with you. So upon my realization that May is coming up this weekend, should have been the realization that the Kentucky Derby is this weekend as well.
Oh.
So you can enter 1620 The Zone's Derby draw for your chance to win $200 without even really doing anything. All you have to do is enter now at 1620thezone.com. And if you are one of the 20 lucky finalists, you'll be randomly assigned to one of the horses in the race. And of course, your horse wins. You win $200. It's as simple as that, 1620thezone.com. I imagine we'll draw for that shortly. So get in your...
Yeah, you want to get involved.
You want to get in on that action. Let's look at the Big Red Rebuild. There will be a website, by the way, called bigredrebuild.com, where you can just look at things. There's like, apparently, so Dan said that they were going to set up like a live camera and just
a feed of, is this like?
You will be able to watch members or workers from Kiewit do their work for, it's like Truman Show, except for you don't get to control them.
I rewatched that movie.
What a great movie.
A little while ago. Man.
It really holds up.
Good. There's like a lot of very good performances in that movie too.
Except for Laura Linney.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't think I like her in anything.
I don't either. I never have. We are an anti-Laura Linney show.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm very okay with that. So this, I might be thinking of something that happened in a TV show, but for some reason this makes me think of like there was eggs and a camera was just set up for people to wait for a bird to hatch. Was this Community? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And it was like a huge deal.
Yes, it feels like Community.
And it
feels like Community.
I don't remember if this was real life or
when they have they have a camera set up and they're like waiting for a bird to hatch.
There's like a nest
on a sitcom.
They found this nest and then they set up a camera and then there's like a stream for it and everyone's waiting and nothing happens.
Yeah,
and then
Peter
at the
knows
very
sitcoms.
end of the episode,
I do. I think the thing that I always think of first when I think of Community is the episode where they never address it at all the whole episode, but in the background of a 20-minute episode of Community is about Abed helping a woman give birth. Yeah. And they never once address it, but in the background of most of the shots, he's helping this woman give
It's kind
birth.
of going on camera.
That's such a perfect encapsulation of that show. It's insanity.
Here are some screenshots. There were some more details released on Friday, and of course, Troy Dannon and Jeff Gold, the system president, and then the leader of the Board of Regents, the chairman of the Board of Regents, spoke. So here's you may have seen something like this. I apologize, by the way. These are, if you're watching along, it's on YouTube. These are just screenshots from the video that they released. So there you can see a pretty good encapsulation of the things that are going to happen if you're watching along with this. Look at that 4-tier South Stadium with the giant scoreboard in the middle. Now, keep in mind, this isn't going to be probably exact, but this is a general idea of what they're going for. And Dannon mentioned on Friday that the bottom 2 tiers, which will total, I can't remember how many seats he said it would total up to be, are going to be students and band, which I think is really cool. I mean, that was one of the things that people were a little bit concerned about. What happens, like how much are you actually going to be thinking about the home field advantage?
Right.
How much are you actually going to make this stadium a difficult place to play in, with the understanding that the football team hasn't necessarily given you much to go off of recently. But like, there has to be a balance in between. We have to make money. We have to make revenue. We have to make it, high dollar seats and luxury boxes and stuff like that in order to make revenue off of it. But we also wanted to make it a really difficult place to play. Dan said on Friday, going into that South Stadium will be, I believe, quote, hell.
Okay.
For opponents. Not hell on wheels, but hell.
What about hell in a helmet?
Hell in a cell, hell in a helmet.
Hell in a helmet was that was the big battle cry one of the years that Nebraska was going to start blocking things up and running the football.
I do wonder. As far as the actual functionality of the football stadium is concerned, one of the first things that came to my head, and we may have talked about this already, Schaefer, when they build up this South Stadium and it's tall and you sort of get this horseshoe effect. Yeah. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. We've known that the wind has swirled in that place for a really long time, mostly because it is a Frankenstein stadium with a whole bunch of things from different times that are sort of put together, and these winds come from a variety of different places.
Like quartz wind tunnels. There's just areas of that stadium that's like, we want wind to come right through here.
And then it kind of swirls around. And so now you're actually going to have a stadium that in theory makes sense, at least as far as the parts are concerned.
In theory.
And so maybe the wind won't be quite as much of a factor at Memorial Stadium as it has been in the past. So it's something to think about.
So you're thinking about wind. I'm thinking about what the noise level is going to look like and what the acoustics of it are. Like, will the sound stay on top of things? Will it just dissipate in the air? Will it reach the ground level from the high reaches of South Stadium?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think that's how noise works. I don't know though.
Should be. I don't know. Like
I imagine it will be louder, right?
You would hope, but the way that it's built isn't necessarily like when you're straight up, you're going to get more of that sound that sits on top of things. I don't know if it'll work that way just because South Stadium looks really steep.
But it's not like it's not like it's the big house where everything goes out instead of up. And it's not quite as vertical as like Kyle Field.
So Kyle Field, Lane Stadium, those that have that's where that noise sits on top of it.
I think this is a pretty good in between, in my opinion.
And as with all things with the stadium project, if there's a reason that noise should be loud because the football team is playing well, it'll probably be loud.
Yep.
So it'll probably be a good home environment if there's a reason for it to be a good home environment.
Exactly.
It'll probably be financially successful if there are reasons for people to attend the game.
It's if it's 40-16 in the fourth quarter and Iowa's about ready to collect another Heroes trophy, it probably won't be very loud, except for the people saying,
I was going to say the
Hawks.
Let's Go Hawks will be loud.
Okay, if I was an Iowa fan, here would be my response to all of the stadium stuff for Nebraska. I would just quote tweet it and say, perfect. Another opportunity for the Let's Go Hawks to echo even louder on Black Friday, every other Black Friday. Because, it'll be louder.
I'm more surprised it wasn't a bunch of quote tweets of, hey, who let you change our stadium? Because they basically owned it since roughly 2011? 2015 is the last. They won 2013's. They won 2013. So, yeah. 2011 is the last time they lost in that building.
Yeah,
that's horrendous.
15.
That doesn't
13,
get enough
11.
publication.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Hey, that's not tough. There's the West. If you're watching along with this on YouTube, with the press box as it currently exists, and then we'll add another tier. All chairbacks in the West now. All chairbacks in, I believe, the South and the West. From at least according to Troy Dannon, a lot of this stuff is kind of up. It's one of the things he mentioned was, hey, we're going to basically be pulling apart and ripping apart a 100-year-old stadium in some parts that has never been unearthed before. We don't know what we're going to find. We don't know what it's going to look like, and so I think that's part of the reason why the timeline and the price tag is a little bit ambitious. You never know how that stuff is going to turn out at the end of it. I don't think I care one way or the other. Like, if it's a few games late or it's a half a year late.
He said it won't be late.
It won't be late, and it will be on budget. That was very strongly said by Troy Dannon.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I don't think I care one way or the other, but I think it's an ambitious, goal to put out there.
Very ambitious
for 2 years for this thing to just be all said and done when the actual material part of the construction doesn't start until after this coming season. There will be stuff going on underneath the bowels for throughout this season.
No big kabooms, though. They're not blowing anything up.
No big dynamite sticks.
Disappointing.
No plunger.
Wanted to see some explosions.
For those of you who are hoping to be able to bid to be able to plunge Memorial Stadium in the South, no such bones for you. No plunging.
Wonder what that would have went for.
Would you pay $15,000 to plunge it?
Me personally, no.
Would somebody?
Someone probably would.
Would somebody pay $30,000 to plunge it?
I hope not, but if it was for charity, maybe.
Well, luckily they won't have that option because there will be no plunging.
Luckily, we'll never know.
We will never know. We will indeed never know. There's a lot of other stuff that came out of there, including but not limited to the thing that everybody wants to talk about for some reason, which is troughs. It got to the point where the athletic director had to say, "I'm Team Trough." He said that.
Guy.
He said that with his mouth. He said that in real life. Let's take a phone call first.
Trough Troy, they call
on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Here's old man Doug. Good morning, Doug. What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
I don't know. Blood pressure.
Same, I guess.
I was really triggered by the draft when it comes to Nebraska.
All right.
Wow. That is the saddest. Seeing all these Iowa players going ahead of, well, we only had one, and that was Emmett Johnson. And I think he was, in my opinion, drafted way later than he probably should. He was probably a third rounder. And I don't think we all understand how bad this program is right now. How it started, with getting rid of Bo, who I get it. At the time I agreed with the decision, and Mike Riley and Scott Frost and Matt Rule, quite frankly, hasn't done that much to turn it around, as much as we're paying and much as we're investing. And then you look at Borkature goes to Texas A&M and he's a second rounder. And then look at the kid from Westside, Cole Payton, who I don't think we gave the time of day to. And our program is really in bad shape right now. I mean, it really is. I don't think people realize how bad it is right now. We just don't have development. We don't have cachet and recruiting. And you can say, 2027 is going great so far. But when at the last minute, all these people start changing their minds, and I'm rooting for Matt Rule, but I actually think the basketball team has a way better chance to win the national championship in the future than the football team does. And I think the baseball team has a better chance to be a top 20 program consistently than the football team is. And I'm glad. The stadium thing, I sit in the South, and it sucks. And it needed to be done. I'm not going to necessarily debate that. There's never good timing for that, but
yeah.
I don't know. I just think the on-field and lack of development and poor coaching and stupid game decisions and stuff, and that stink goes to our the players that they do have there, and Singleton not getting drafted, and all this, they signed this free agency and this is going to be better for them. And that very well may be, but literally we're not getting anybody drafted because we're not developing anybody. And, do you want to draft players from a very mediocre program versus drafting kids that are on winning programs? I think it's showing, and it's getting worse.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Doug. I appreciate it. Is it getting worse? Is a question that we could sort of mull. But first of all, the main point is this. I mean, like, the point from Doug was, I don't know that anybody realizes how bad it is. Like, I don't know that I agree with that. I think a lot of people realize how bad it is. It's maybe you get slapped in the face with it again in April every single year, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess we really have sucked for a while. But that doesn't mean that hasn't been the case just because you get slapped over the head with it in April again. I mean, it's very true. Nebraska has not been good at football, and their draft has largely reflected it.
Their draft has reflected it. Their, whatever. Certainly the record on the field, it mirrors that over the last several years. They don't develop players at a high enough rate. And what's the root cause of that? I don't know. But I don't know that anybody is trying to paint out the picture of the Nebraska just because they got a bunch of undrafted free agents and a fifth round running back this year is like in a great place or trending to a great place. I'm certainly not making that case.
There's also this misunderstanding that Nebraska was getting a ton of people drafted for much of the 2000s until recently, which is not true. I mean, you have stretches. The 2011 draft, they had 7 people taken. Then it went down to 4. Then you're down to 2. Then you're at 3. Then you're at 4. Then you're at 4. Then you're at 1. Then you didn't have anybody. Like there's an ebb and flow of this. And even if you go back to the early 2000s, there's still in there too, where you don't necessarily have guys that are getting drafted all the time. But you're usually getting 3 or 4, and now you're down to 1 or 2.
Yep. Which is not enough, but at the same time, like we got a comment in on YouTube from Matthew says, I agree our program's in the dumps right now, but do you think the way that teams draft is far different than what they did during the glory days? I mean, yes and no. Mostly yes, because there's, I think, so many eligible players in the draft pool and they could come from anywhere now. Like they could just, there's guys that get drafted that played college basketball instead, or, whatever it might be. And there's just so many places that you could take these guys from as far as the pool, where, you were drafting out of a smaller pool back then. So I guess there's that piece of it. I suppose that's a part of it. And so maybe Nebraska should have the expectation that they get a handful of guys drafted in a year. I would be, I mean, yes, there's the amount of guys that get drafted, and then there is the lack of high quality guys that get drafted or guys that stick around in the NFL. And I think that's part of it too.
I care less that they don't have guys that are getting drafted than I do the fact that a lot of their sort of transfer portal additions have not really been impactful, or they've just sort of lacked impact players just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, we've said this over and over and over. I think the program's in a better place than it was when Matt Rule got here, in the sense that he's raised the floor, but he hasn't raised the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And so we haven't seen this jump off of players getting drafted. There's also the element that, like, teams can have good years and don't have NFL worthy players on it. It doesn't mean that they can't have good college seasons too. So
that's true. But I don't know that that's, I think over a long period, like,
sure,
over 10 drafts, like Nebraska's lack of draft success, quote unquote, lack of players drafted, does in fact mirror what they've been as a program.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, there is definitely some programs who had really good seasons and didn't have guys drafted. That's not Nebraska. They haven't had really good seasons, and they haven't had guys
I'm
drafted.
just saying, like, the draft gets used as this metric sometimes in a way that is not all that relevant to college football. Like, what you want in the NFL isn't always the same thing as what you want in college football.
That's true.
Case in point, Emmett Johnson's an All-American running back, and he went 7th out of the running backs this last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just how this works. Now, it was also a down year for running backs. It was a down year for offensive players other than wide receiver in general. It was a big year to take a bunch of offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Sometimes you're at the mercy of what the draft actually looks like.
Sure.
These are all factors that go into it. That's not to excuse the fact that Nebraska hasn't been particularly good at putting players in the NFL. I'm not trying to I'm just saying we get into these conversations where, like, there's a relevancy in that you want guys representing you on Sundays because it matters when you try to go get the next guy. But whether it's a huge, factor in if you're ripping off wins or not constantly, I don't know. I mean, Iowa had a really nice draft year. They haven't always had this, and they've been consistently roughly the same program, up and down. What they are really good at is usually having 2 or 3 guys that then go maximize and represent Iowa on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
And Nebraska hasn't had that in a while, and they just lost one of their biggest ones in Levante David. So you go from Levante David and Sue to now you have neither of those guys. I don't even know who their most notable NFL player is at this point.
Beef Jerky?
Yeah. Which, a pretty good offensive lineman.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's definitely good.
Yeah, well, like relative to, I don't know if he's an all-pro lineman, but yeah, I mean, he's a good NFL lineman. It's just that you just don't have other people to even point to at this point. I don't think
He's a
anyone
Pro
else.
Bowl offensive lineman.
Was he a Pro Bowl?
He was a Pro Bowl offensive
I
lineman,
didn't know that. My apologies.
which
to
I don't
Cam
know
Jurgens.
who makes the Pro Bowl these days.
I think about
but
80 players make it per position now.
it's like
but
20% of the league. But yeah, that's good.
it's more valuable that he did that as a lineman than Shedeur Sanders making the Pro Bowl as a quarterback.
That is true.
So I will say that for him as well. Like the lack of visibility on Sunday is a big deal.
Absolutely. But I think as far as, people are using it as another example of what Nebraska hasn't done. And like, I think there are certain things about it that make it an unequal math equation, but it does reflect what Nebraska has not been. Like I like to look at it over a large period of time. Like, for example, if Nebraska had 3 players drafted this year, they picked up 2 more guys in the 7th or something like that, instead of them being undrafted free agents, it doesn't change anything just because of the sheer amount of players they had 2 more drafted. That is not the case. I mean, we're looking at a lack of high quality guys that have come out of the draft, and we're looking at a lack of guys, point blank period, that have come out of the draft for Nebraska, which shows a bunch of different things. Number one, the lack of ability to be able to develop your guys at a high enough level. That number 2, and this is over multiple coaching staffs, the lack of ability to recruit enough high end talent and be able to turn those guys into, the next all conference type of players, and then turn them into pros. And then number 3, I think one of the things, this really comes up a lot with the Iowa part, because I think that's one of the things that people match themselves up against. They're like, oh my God, Iowa gets all these guys drafted every year. They're not recruiting a whole lot better than what Nebraska is. How does this happen? Sometimes when you do it long enough over a long period of time, and maybe they haven't, they've generally been the same program, like you said, Schaefer. But when you do it long enough over a long period of time, you get the benefit of the doubt. NFL teams know that they can go back to Iowa to go out and grab players that are going to stick around and be on practice squads and be on teams for, on rosters for a really, really long time, because they're coached the right way and they're in the right system, and they value special teams, I think, and stuff like that. And so they go back there and they go back there and they go back there, and that enhances the numbers over a long period of time. Nebraska, it's a lot of it is about relationships. The coaching staff is new every 5 years. And so you got to go back and get refamiliarized with that stuff. And you want to know what you're getting, right? You want to know what you're getting. When NFL franchises go into Iowa and they go to their practices and they go to their, they go to their pro days and stuff like that, like they know exactly the type of players that they're going to have. That's an identity. That's the identity that they have as a program. They don't have that at Nebraska. We don't have that. Nebraska doesn't have that established at this moment. No, so that affects the pure numbers as well.
Nebraska hasn't established anything in more than a decade. It's just been a house that's just changed ownership over and over and over, and then slaps on a new coat of paint and maybe fixes a few of the shutters, and then the house still remains relatively dilapidated and gets sold to somebody else. There's no foundation here. I mean, that's what Matt Rule is hoping to build. I don't know how close they are to saying that they fully established that. I get a little bit, it's difficult for me with the development conversation, because people want to say there's absolutely no development happening at Nebraska, which I don't think is true, because you've seen players get better. The problem is you aren't seeing players there just hasn't been this ascension to super high level play. You have guys that are playing well.
I agree that it's quote unquote happening. It's not happening enough. I think the development is I'm with you. The word is sort of tricky.
Yeah.
But it's not linear, and it sometimes isn't. But I don't, when guys have good freshman years, and you point them out as, oh, all right, 2 years down the line, this guy's going to be an all conference guy. It doesn't happen. It's just not happening.
Yeah, well,
And
they very rarely have all conference players. That's why Emmett
Right.
Johnson and Ty Robinson stand out as much as they have.
So their sophomore years, maybe they get a new coach, a new position coach, or a new coordinator, and like I think a lot of this honestly tracks back to the lack of continuity on the staff and with coaching staffs in general. The development at these programs that like Nebraska has to do it. It's just not the track record is not good enough. And so while I agree with you that it is happening a little bit, it's not happening nearly enough.
Yeah, look, I'm not trying to sell people that everything is fine over there. I also just think like the conversation when you have something like this past weekend turns into this giant bullhorn about how horrible everything is. And I just think there's room for really it's in the middle. It needs to be substantially better for Nebraska to be a better football program. I also think there's a world where Nebraska can win more football games and have given away a handful of football games they've underachieved the last 3 years with this same roster and could have won 9 football games a couple years ago, could have won 9 football games last year, could have went to a bowl game in 2023 and still had the same NFL output.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to say that because they're not winning on Saturdays has nothing to do with the fact like they need to get more NFL talent on their roster. They need to develop more NFL talent. Absolutely true. They also just need to be better in all these other ways and then still win football games, even with the players that they have. They're good enough to win a lot more football games than they have. They're not necessarily loaded with NFL players. Like I'm saying, there's a correlation that gets made that if they have more guys drafted, it means they're definitely winning more games. They can still win games with the quality of what they have. They're just not getting that done.
I don't know if it's a 1-to-1, but I would leave I would argue with you a little bit on that. Like, if you win 9 games, let's just say 2 results get flipped from this past year, and Nebraska does do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything else stays the same, just they win, right? Like the visibility that winning those extra games gets you might actually get you 2 more players drafted. Like I actually believe that.
Yeah, maybe.
And so not that that's the end all be all. Like that doesn't matter. Okay, so what? We got 3 instead of 1, and we, whatever. But I do think there is a correlation to winning games and getting players drafted.
I think you said that the thing that matters, it has to be sustained over a period of time.
Sure. Yeah.
Nebraska's last 9-win season, they had 1 player drafted. It was the equivalent of this year. Nate Gary went in the 5th round. I mean, Nate Gary, Emmett Johnson, same sort of situation. They won 2 more games. It didn't really matter. Now, some of it is like what that class looks like. There was an expectation going into 2017 that if the quarterback piece was right, the rest of the roster was going to be great. I think they turned around and had 2 people drafted in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And they, won
1 actually.
games?
Yeah.
No, they had 1 in 2018.
It was Tannerly.
Which is
pretty
hilarious.
funny. Pretty funny.
So, I mean, and then you'd be like, well, Nick Gates should have been drafted in 2017. He carved out a career as an undrafted free agent. The weird thing about Nebraska is they never get offensive linemen drafted, and yet all of their undrafted free agent offensive linemen tend to find ways to stick around in the NFL.
They sure do.
Way longer than you would think.
They sure do.
So I don't know. It's a weird situation. They have to be better in a lot of ways. I'm not super very low on the list to me is that they need to have better draft weekend representation.
Yeah.
Because they can still win a hell of a lot more football games with what they've had.
Yeah, I generally agree with you. Like, and once again, this is just a product of what you're not doing. And,
I don't think we're that far apart on any of this.
No, I don't think so either. So I want to hear from you guys, 402-951-1620 on any of those things. Kent says on Twitter, he says, go listen to Severe's interview about the 5-year bowl drought. We've made bowl games in back-to-back years. Yes, there's a long way to go, but at least there is progress. Yes, that is, of course, the first and foremost thing that you were worried about. It's not like you're in this, you're not in the game to get to just get guys drafted. You're in the game to win games. And so the product of that is indeed getting guys drafted. So it's just another thing that you get slapped in the face with around this time of year. Let's take a quick time out. We'll get your thoughts and plenty more coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we welcome you back. Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. You can enter online at 1620thezone.com for the Peak Playoffs giveaway. Playoffs. Winner will receive a $250 gift card to Twin Peaks. So check that out at 1620thezone.com. We're just giving away so many things, which is awesome. So
plus, every morning between 6 and 10, we give away content to you, the listener.
6 and 6, I'd say.
Well, yeah, us specifically, 6 to about 10:25.
Am I to understand that there is a continued desire to push forward the 1620, the leave a voicemail to unsportsmanlike conduct? Okay.
At the wedding, this was a thing that John Bishop and I discussed.
This is great. You and John talked. Me and John talked this entire weekend.
I sent some text to Josh, who was on his deathbed. I think he's doing better.
Josh was sick?
He was not doing well.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I didn't know. Is that why you missed the show on Friday?
He was supposed to run a marathon on Saturday.
Oh, no.
He had to cancel that.
That's horrible.
He's on the mend. He's doing better.
If he's not doing a marathon, he was not feeling his best.
He's converted it to Lincoln, a place that he has no strong, favorable feelings about their marathons.
Yeah.
And he's going to go run that now.
Okay. And he was going to
That's your Josh Peterson update.
He was going to do a marathon where?
I think it was Lawrence, maybe. He's going to go down to Lawrence.
Home of the regional hosts, Kansas Jayhawks.
Yeah, there you go. Talk about a tie-in right there.
Kansas, the regional baseball host?
So, yeah, I don't know. Nebraska, they're going to still host a regional? I don't know. Maybe not.
No.
Schaefer never thought so in the first place, to be fair.
No, I never every weekend is just more of a confirmation of no for me.
Did your light get more red or more green over the weekend? Your regional host light, is it lit or what color is it?
I think it's just.
Was it orange?
Orange.
It was orange and now it's red, or it just stayed orange?
Mostly yellow, I think.
Okay, so it got more green.
I don't know how that works. Isn't orange a combination of red and yellow?
If you lighten up orange, it becomes yellow, right? So in theory, you're putting more green into it.
Oh, I see what you're saying here.
Because red,
it became more red.
Red and orange are closer to each other.
We're gonna have to work on this.
Yeah,
we're gonna use this going
we need updates on the color wheel.
I was sitting there trying to go back to school and like, okay, if you put red with yellow, you get orange. If you put red and blue, you get purple. And then I was like, so is it yellow and blue?
No. I'm not doing actual color mixing. This is not finger painting.
Well, that's what I was doing, and I was confused.
If I was quizzed on what colors make what, I'm still not sure I would answer
get from red to green when it's yellow and blue, and you haven't mentioned either of these?
It's a great question. There's no blue involved in stoplights.
What color is your light?
Well, what the hell are we doing
If
here?
they introduced blue into the stoplight lexicon, everyone would die in car accidents.
Everything's gray.
It would be so bad.
Color blindness.
It would be so bad. Just remember what happened when they introduced the yellow blinking arrow? Man. That was horrific for society.
If you grew up in a community that had the blinking arrow, it wasn't like that confusing.
I know it wasn't confusing for many people, but it caused worldwide outrage.
Then again, I also have lived in Lincoln long enough during state basketball to know that the roundabouts are just somehow the most befuddling thing that's ever existed.
Not good. Anyway, Nebraska baseball maybe is going to
Speaking of befuddling.
Maybe going to host a regional. Yeah, Friday was odd. Friday was really odd. They just kind of were not characteristically tightened up on Friday night.
This is a Brunts question, but I think you could maybe chalk Friday up to like, hey, it's baseball. Your starter didn't have a great outing. He should have been out of the inning before the grand slam happens. He shouldn't have given up 6 in the third. Like all of that is true, and this just happens. It's not like Illinois is some doormat of a baseball program.
No, definitely.
So you got to show up and you got to beat somebody, and their Friday night starter gave Nebraska issues, and you're in a big enough hole where you're unable to come all the way back. They bounced back with 2 good games. I mean, they clearly were not happy with things on Saturday, and then Sunday they played a clean, low-scoring game, shut out Illinois, and got the win. Like, you did what you needed to do, which was win the series. If you're trying to host a regional, you just have to stack as many wins as possible. So I don't know that Friday means that they can't. I'm just going overall. I just don't think that they can win enough games or their profile is going to be high enough down the stretch.
33, and 11 right now.
They're having a phenomenal season. I just don't want this to be, if they don't host a regional, it wasn't that good of a year.
I agree with you.
That's not true. Don't do that. Don't fall in that trap.
By the way, let me throw this at you though. RPI says 13 right now. Predicted RPI. Would you like to know where they are at in the predicted RPI?
11th.
6th.
What? How does that make any sense?
The RPI predicts that Nebraska will be 6th.
That doesn't make any sense.
So I don't know. Let me see what they're because I don't know if it like gives them I don't know if it gives them the extra games right in the Big Ten tournament that they would get. I mean, they'd get a couple potential RPI boosters in the Big Ten tournament,
but not enough to jump up the 6.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe just coming in the same like breathing space as UCLA.
You're looking for orbit. Sphere.
Joining the same orbit as UCLA will just bump you up like 8 spots in the RPI.
If we're gonna start leaving messages to the afternoon show, we're gonna have to talk a lot more about space.
We are. That's the only thing they talk about.
Things that happened in the 1940s involving the entire world. I'd rather not discuss that one.
World events in the 40s for sure.
A famous painter from Austria.
So Nebraska plays K-State this week on Tuesday. They were swept over the weekend against Kansas this weekend. Kansas just can't stop playing blood feud games apparently. And then Ohio State on the road this weekend before Iowa and Minnesota to finish. Just one home series left at Haymarket Park. Just 4 games left at Haymarket Park.
Yeah.
You believe that?
I can.
Meanwhile, in baseball, Creighton won this weekend in 3 against Butler. So I got some Rob Anderson stats for you. You want to hear some things?
Yeah.
All right. So
Rob's usually cooking up good stuff.
He had some great stuff, and these got mentioned on the broadcast, but now they are mentioned on this very broadcast. So Lou Rice became the fourth. Became the 4th ever Creighton player to hit a walk-off home run at Charles Schwab Field a couple weeks ago when they beat North Dakota State in the run rule victory. The first ever player to hit 2 walk-off home runs inside Charles Schwab Field. There have been 8 players or 8 occurrences of walk-off home runs at Charles Schwab Field. That's it. 679 games now at the ballpark. Here are the names. Vanderbilt's Jaron Kendall.
Okay.
Creighton's Michael Amodi against Wichita State 2018. Creighton's Ben Gabur in 2023 against Omaha. Maryland's Nick LaRusso against Nebraska in 2023 in the Big Ten tournament. LSU's Tommy White against Wake Forest, memorable one. Kentucky's Mitchell Daly against NC State in 10. And then Lou Rice had the most recent 2 over the last 3 weeks. I was looking at it.
Does Lou Rice have the only one that's a run rule one?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
I was going to ask how we feel about counting that in the same category.
Lou Rice also became the second person to hit a walk-off home run in that ballpark while his team was trailing at the time, at the moment of the home run.
Okay.
And that would go back all the way to the first one, Vanderbilt's Jaron Kendall against Cal State Fullerton in 2015. There's some stats for you. You never know what you're going to find when you go to the old ballpark. Could be history. Could be anything. Creighton's in good position to potentially win the Big East if they can win 2 out of 3 this weekend against St. John's. The biggest Big East series you could imagine coming up this weekend on the road at St. John's. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with the headlines coming up on 1620 The Zone. All right, Peter, man, we got headlines here. I'm excited to see what you have cooked up on this Monday morning. What are we looking at?
It definitely has the second one, at least, that I found definitely has a little bit of Peter flavor to it in terms of the wrestling nature of it.
All right. How about number one? Megan Thee Stallion blasts Klay Thompson. Cheating had me around your whole family playing house. Schaefer, any thoughts?
Klay Thompson, is he with the Rockets? He still plays
Dallas.
Okay.
Was he with the Rockets previously?
Maybe.
I think he went
this up
just
in my head?
Warriors to Mavs,
Okay.
but who knows? Maybe the Rockets are in his future.
I watched the Rockets game last night, and they announced the starting lineup, and I said, who are any of these people?
Yeah, because Kevin Durant didn't play.
Kevin Durant and Steve Adams. He's on that team, too.
Yeah, and he's just basically coaching.
I said the Şengün guy. I know him. I don't know any of the rest of them.
Okay.
I was like, they started
young
the guy who wasn't Kevin Durant at the wing spot. I was like, literally, who is this person? I've never seen.
Who are you? Yeah, I don't have a ton of thoughts off the top of my head. It seems like it kind of explains itself in the headline.
Okay, how about this? Pat McAfee reportedly pulled the plug on WWE storyline.
I mean, I'm more likely to click on this than I am Megan Thee Stallion.
Let's go click on it then. So, am I to understand, Peterman, that he has turned himself into a heel now?
That is a correct statement.
Okay.
So the nature of, in the most succinct way I can explain it.
Yeah, I'm mostly excited to see you try to explain, because I know more about this than Happer.
Do you want me to read the story? Do you want me to read the story? Do you want the context of what he has become in this first?
Why don't you go ahead and read it, and then I can add some context if we need it.
It's from Awful Announcing. WrestleMania 42 is come and gone. Pat McAfee has said that he is no longer a part of the wrestling business after taking a starring role in WWE's Showcase event. And according to top wrestling reporter Dave Meltzer, it was his decision. McAfee was controversially inserted into the main event match between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Wow, Randy Orton's still going, huh?
Yeah.
The sudden storyline shift puzzled fans, and they thoroughly rejected McAfee's shocking heel turn and ascension to the top of the card after serving as a fan-friendly commentator for most of his WWE career. WrestleMania 42, McAfee was seemingly written out of the story. He was splashed through a table by Jelly Roll before the match. What a sentence. Then, during the match, Randy Orton turned on him and gave him an RKO after he somehow ran out to the ring as a referee and tried to give him the victory. McAfee then said thank you to the wrestling business and gave the indication that he was done with the WWE for good. Wow. That is quite dramatic, actually. I didn't see that one coming. What's going on here, Peter? What's happening?
The main issue with this is that, like, 3 years running now, ever since WWE was sold to TKO, which under that umbrella, UFC, WWE are now under the same company. It has led to now, I think this is now the third instance of the top brass very much calling the shots on what is included in WrestleMania stuff. And it's always for some reason involving Cody Rhodes. The Rock got inserted for no reason a few years ago, and now that we had this Pat thing.
So they just put people in there for no reason.
They think their strategy is basically, let's get as many celebrities involved as we can, and the fans that actually want to watch just purely with wrestling brain despise it.
Do you believe that Pat McAfee is actually removing himself, or do you believe that this is just a bit that wrestling is doing, and then they'll bring him back like as a good guy now? Like what happens?
I think down the line he'll probably show up again at some point. But I cannot emphasize how poorly this was received.
I saw him getting booed. I saw him getting booed like crazy.
Like you want to get booed.
Great pleasure. I was excited.
You want to get boos if you're like a heel guy, which is what he was portraying. But it was like the type of booze that's like, this sucks.
The go away heat.
It was the go away heat that no one was liking it.
That'd be like if Rob Manfred was like, we're gonna put Trevor Bauer starting for the Yankees tomorrow. Everyone would be like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
It'd be like if Trevor Bauer gets to pitch the first game of the World Series, no matter what.
No matter what.
We'll coin flip between which team has to start him.
By the way, Trevor Bauer no-hitter thrower for the Long Island Ducks over the weekend.
Wow.
Oh, good for them.
The Long Island Ducks.
Power outage.
Yeah, the thing that's endlessly funny to me about this is that you have a thing that's just built on writing. And so then they develop these year-long storylines that are supposed to get told. And then some guy for this organization is like, you know what this needs? Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee.
Nice.
When you have two people that
it gets the people going.
You even know who Randy Orton is.
I do, because
And
I
you don't
kind
pay
of watched
attention to
wrestling
any
for
of
like
this.
2 years when I
Right.
was 12.
If you don't pay any attention to this stuff at all, Cody Rhodes is another huge name. That alone should be fine, but it's like, no, we need Jelly Roll, who's been in like 7 matches already.
Fascinating. There has been 7
Pat
Jelly
McAfee.
Roll wrestling matches. This
That sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Truly insane.
Okay. Well, we'll see where that one
And they're
goes.
coming to Omaha.
Oh, good.
Yes, they are.
They're here
I'll
next
be
Monday.
there.
Next Monday.
Yeah.
That's in May.
That
as we
is in
discussed
May.
Maybe
I would
earlier.
imagine
maybe Jelly
Matt-
Roll will be there.
Oh, I'm sure Matt will be there for sure.
Well, I imagine Matt will be there, but I'm wondering if they're here.
Let's take a break. We will come back and get to the 8:00 hour up next on 1620 The Zone. Tim Verghese is going to join us in about a half hour. Nebraska did get a commitment over the weekend in football. If anybody's interested in such a thing, maybe that person will get drafted one day into the NFL draft.
Maybe.
Or maybe not. Odds say no.
Or if he gets drafted, will it be while playing for Nebraska or having played for Nebraska, or will it be like most of the draft picks this past year? A lot of transfer portal draft picks.
Many. So Tim will join us in about a half hour. Michael Bruns will join us in the 9 o'clock hour. So we were going to eventually get to this. So with the stadium announcement on Friday, got some more details. And the athletic director at the University of Nebraska said, I am Team Trough. I consider myself to be Team Trough. And then also went on to tell us about how the Troughs are going away at Memorial Stadium. So I really wrestled with this. And last week I thought about it a lot. And I couldn't tell for a long time if you guys, you listening to the show, if you guys were serious or not. I thought it was a bit. I thought it was a bit at first. And I thought, because we would get tweets from Sam and he would make all these graphics and he would be like, we must save our Troughs and stuff like that. And then I saw the conversation happen more and more and more. And then I thought, wait a minute. I think these people are serious. And so I think that's where I landed. And so when Dannon says that there were not going to be Troughs at Memorial Stadium anymore, there was not outrage, but mild pushback, I think, to that. And that led me to be even more confused as to people's opinions about things in this state. I can't even begin to wrap my head around it. Why? Why?
Of this, I think I'm mostly surprised that you didn't think that there was people who this was a serious thing for. Like,
yeah.
I only know this because
I thought it was a bit. I thought it was just like one person said, we have to save our Troughs. They make us.
No. So
then there was people who joined on in that, and I thought it was just a bit.
Now, the reason that I would know that this was serious is that I watched it play out with the Metrodome and how upset people were when the Vikings changed stadiums and there wouldn't be Troughs anymore. And there was this whole push that they needed to bring the Troughs over.
You're
from the
reliving
Metrodome.
it.
There needed to be at least one bathroom at TCF that would have a trough in it. And it didn't happen, obviously, because why would you put a trough in there?
But that makes me think it's a bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
That makes me think they only wanted it for the nominal inclusion of like, this is who we are. We as a people are trough people.
Well,
we are trough.
They didn't get it. Nebraska won't get it either.
Either way, like you said, they're not gonna have troughs inside of the new version of Memorial Stadium, which is great.
Yeah,
which is just fantastic.
I just simply don't care.
I know you don't care.
I would lean if I had to pick. If you're like you got to pick between trough and no trough, I'm probably picking no trough.
Yeah,
I'm just used to peeing in urinals, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
as most people are.
I don't understand. I don't understand the case for it's bad to erase them. Like, you were having the same amount of places that you could go to the bathroom inside of Memorial Stadium, and there's just a divider in between. And we are obviously replacing the sink-like things that you go to the bathroom in with just more opportunities to go to the bathroom, because there is actually restrooms in the South Stadium, which is there's going to be restrooms. In the
Seems
South
like
Stadium.
the best news to come out.
Seems like the best news overall. So I do not
So
get
like
it.
Doug, who admits South Stadium, it's bad. Now he'll have more places to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, it'll be better
in theory.
And so it makes me a little bit concerned. I say all that to say this. It makes me a little bit concerned about what the pushback and the feedback is going to be like in the next 2 years when this place is under construction, and there are going to be people that eventually are displaced and all these different things. Like, the complaints are so loud for the smallest of issues, the most insignificant thing that you can think of, there is a complaint about it. And that's people's right to complain about it. There's no doubt about it. I just hope that Nebraska is able to push forward with their plan without, without being so overwhelmed. But Gannon even mentioned it on Friday. He even said it. He was like, I know what my inbox is going to look like. I know that we're going to hear it from people. And like, I made the comparison to the airport here in Omaha. Like what's happening right now is the airport is completely ripped to shreds. It looks horrible. And people will come in for the first time from out of town and they'll say, this is what you guys live in, this filth. You guys live in this dirt pile. There's exposed wires everywhere. What's going on? And it
makes all that different than when it wasn't exposed, though. It was a completely outdated airport that was, so like the comments still would have been there even before they were doing the work, I guess is what I'm getting.
I actually think it's more now that it looks the way it looks.
Well, it certainly stands out more, but
people will look at that and they'll say, I can't believe this. It's like, yes, right now, yes. Pardon our dust. They say pardon our dust for a reason. And this is something that people are going to have to deal with Memorial Stadium for the next 2 years at least. And I would, one of my concerns is that people are not going to handle it very well. But I don't know when the last time anyone's handled anything well. So I guess what am I actually worried about? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that Dannon is not going to personally sift through the emails and respond on many of these things. And a lot of it for people is they just want to know if they're going to be displaced, when they're going to be displaced, what this looks like when they're displaced, what this looks like if you've been a donor for 40 years.
They don't know. They're not going to.
And so the lack of knowledge on any of this just has people likely feeling uneasy. And so, and as we well know, people famously hate change. Even if they actually, you could get everyone to agree that stadium, and I think everyone does, needs work done to it. But nobody can fathom a world in which the work gets done to it and it might,
their life might be better afterwards.
Well, though it would be better if they just won more football games, even in a bad stadium. So there's that too.
You think they should? Are you arguing you would trade a bad stadium for more football wins? Or you would?
I mean, in like the general sense, sure. Not in like any sort of this or that for Nebraska specifically.
Right. Like I think the thing that people maybe have a tough time dealing with is like there's just a lot of the stuff that needs to be done, and not.
It's been needed for a while. They kept kicking the ball down or the can down the road, and now you finally have to do something.
Another thing is that they will not be, as I think we mentioned this invariably over the last several weeks, kind of felt like this was the way it was trending. When it is done, there will not be turf, or I'm sorry, there will not be grass at Memorial Stadium.
We should have a checklist because there was some stuff that you brought up that Gannon talked about on Friday. And
I made some predictions.
You were correct. You were like, there will not be grass. They're going to tell Mr. Grass no. And they did.
Yeah. So let's pry this open here real quick.
Sure.
So Matt Rule came here and says, I want grass.
Yep.
And Troy Dannon, who takes over, says, okay, good idea. They lay forth plans to put in grass. And Troy Dannon at the same time is evaluating the stadium plan that Trev Alberts left him. And he's trying to sift through it and find the right time to make all those plans come together and get some funding for it to get the project underway and things like that. And he says, okay, let's go forward with the stadium project. And we've also told everybody else in the world that we're going to do grass inside of Memorial Stadium. And you're also telling people we are going to make Memorial Stadium a facility that is used more times than just the 8 times a year in the fall on Saturdays when it's used for Nebraska football. That picture never really made sense to me.
Yeah.
Never really made sense to me because if you're going to do it, if you're going to do grass, it just takes a lot of maintenance and you're not going to want to do anything to jeopardize the health of the grass while you put grass in Memorial Stadium. And so it never made sense to me at all. It never made sense to me, certainly, to do it during and before the project. And I don't think it made much sense to do it afterwards either. And what ends up happening is the turf, like on one side, you have this idea that Memorial Stadium is more than just a football playing facility. And on the other side, you have this idea from the football team and the football coach that the football stadium's primary use should be it's mine. It's ours, right? And we want grass because that's what we want to do, and we think it'll limit injuries and things like that. And so I don't think this is like any sort of evidence of any like power thing or anything like that. But I do think it is notable that is what won out at the end of the day, instead of the grass part, which I do think Rule really wants.
Oh yeah,
and did not get, despite what Dannon said, which was he agreed. I'm sure he agreed.
Sure.
But yeah,
I think it sort of could be looked at in a few different ways. There's a way of this where it could be, if you're Troy Dannon, like there's no harm in saying, yeah, we'll look into this or we'll do this, because you know that you have the stadium project that you're also going to have to look at, and it gives you time to kind of reevaluate it if you want to down the line. I think if you are Troy Dannon or you're Matt Rule, you also have to come to the understanding that if this project is happening and the stadium is going to be more multi-use than it has been, which it really isn't. I mean, it's largely only used for random high school football games, state championships, Larry the Cable Guy comedy shows, and now we're adding Savannah Bananas and a handful of concerts. We'll be up to 3 concerts. And at least in the last 25 years or whatever. And then a
volleyball game.
Yeah, that's it. So if you're going to get more out of the stadium, then you need a surface that's going to allow for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just like, I don't think this has to be much more than anything of like, hey, we understand you wanted this. We can't go this route. The stadium is going to be utilized for more than just football. That's where we are. And I could see Rule being annoyed by it, but ultimately, I don't really know that there's much ground in, not a pun.
Nice.
It really wasn't intended. I want to make that clear. I'm not a pun person.
Wow. Anti-puns?
I don't seek it out, I guess is what I'm getting at here. I just think that, you know, what is he really going to argue on this behalf? Like, one, it's a cost endeavor they don't need to undertake when they just put in new turf anyway.
No, I mean, I would imagine, I don't know that this ever happened, but like, I would imagine his argument is, look, man, I'm talking about Rule. His argument to the administration is, this is our football stadium. This is my football stadium. This is what I want, because it is, what's our primary use of Memorial Stadium? Football.
Sure.
That's his argument.
And we accept your argument and cannot
say no, thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where we are.
And I think that is notable. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. I think that sized down conversation that we just had, that mini conversation that we just had, is notable because I don't know if it has looked that way before between Rule and the administration.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I don't know of other stuff, and there's probably things he's requested that he hasn't received. It's just not public in the way that because they said yes initially with the grass. I think of this part of the conversation, I'm most interested in like what mixed use, like what else are you going to do inside the stadium? Because it's a lot of it to me is like, if you're going to have more concerts, okay, great. That's an avenue for it. The Savannah Bananas is like kind of a one-off thing to me. I don't see that happening very often. Like, I'm trying to think of what other ways you can utilize Memorial Stadium to get more value out of it. And I'm really struggling to come up with what that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it just comes along as it comes along.
Yeah.
Like your stadium tour concerts that come through, and you can get involved in that action. And then, you know, if you have a historically great women's basketball team that you want to highlight and put 40,000 people in the stands for, great. Well, put them out there for an exhibition.
The thing that,
like, I just think the opportunities come along as they come along.
The thing that's never happened that I think everybody wanted, and I know the boxer himself wanted, like Crawford wanted to fight Memorial Stadium. They could never figure out how to make that work.
Right.
That's a bummer, because I think that would have been a really cool atmosphere to see.
Definitely.
I mean, I'm sure it would have been a nobody fighter because nobody's really taking that fight. But would have been amazing to see that if that could have played out.
John writes in on the text line, Memorial Stadium is not getting grass because it's something Rule wants. It would be very expensive, and Dannon knows that Rule is on short time, so it doesn't make sense to do it. Not like I mean, I think there would be a lot of coaches who would be like, yeah, I want to play on grass. And
Dannon does not know that Matt Rule's on short time because Dannon literally gave Matt Rule the contract. So Dannon is tied to Matt Rule. So he certainly doesn't view him as he's on short time.
What's short time?
I have no idea. In this scenario, I would assume 2 years or less.
I mean, I do wonder about what what he thinks it looks like in 5 years.
Yeah, I think that's a fair question.
I do wonder about what he thinks it looks like in 3. Like, if they don't win this year, the pressure is coming up even higher.
Right.
I know they just extended him, but
I don't think Troy Dannon views it in that sense because he's also ultimately going to be tied to Matt Rule because of that contract.
Dannon is the athletic director, and that's he's trying to find the best use for Memorial Stadium and its playing surface, and that's why they did what they did. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like that's what's maybe a little bit different than it has been before. Mark writes in on the
I'm also glad it's not grass. I would rather the turf.
I like a grass playing field.
I know you're a big grass guy.
I like a grass playing field, but I certainly understand.
The weather in this, I just like in those games in November, I think it'd look horrible.
Yeah, you could find a way to make it look good.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to look like Ryan Field or Soldier Field for that matter, but
yeah,
or Heinz Field. It's not Heinz anymore, but whatever it is.
Acrisure.
Yeah, something weird.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's Acrisure. It's Acrisure. Yeah. Mark writes in on the Equitable Bank inbox. He says, Dannon lied about the whole grass field for years. Kept telling us we were getting grass. So much for player safety and a safer playing service. It's all about money. Mark.
Lying about grass is a hallmark in this state right now.
In what other case is that the case?
You could ask our governor.
Lying about grass. From the 402, if you really wanted to go in on multi-use of the stadium, you would go dome, but there would be no way that happens with the price tag. Yeah, no. There would not be. I don't know how many more opportunities you're going to have to go multi-use. To Schaefer's point with the stadium, it's one of those things where if stuff comes along.
It sounds like, we can generate revenue with this, and it feels like it's going to be a very small thing.
I don't think that's the main purpose of using the stadium as a mixed use and like revenue generating. Sure. Like what they mean by mixed use, in essence, is the fact that they're able to monetize it more because of the improvements that they're going to make. And that is both on game day and not on game day. There's going to be additional avenues for revenue streams in the stadium 365 days a year. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean that there's going to be more than just football games.
Are the stadium tours free right now? Do people have to pay for that? Are they going to charge people for the renovated stadium?
Great question. I don't know.
Will that be part of their revenue generating?
Is the self-guided tour going to go away?
Are fourth graders going to be required to show up with $5 to go on a tour?
See, I never got that.
I didn't either. But you and I have been around the stadium enough to watch the waves of fourth graders or whatever going through.
But when the South Stadium goes down, is the self-guided tour area going down with it? I assume so. Do you know that little door that they have over there?
A little bit, yeah.
On the southeast side, there's a big red door, and you can walk in between a certain amount of hours. Then you could take this walkway out to the ADA section of the southeast corner, right in front of the student section.
Oh yeah.
And you could just stand there, and that's a self-guided tour. Maybe that goes away too. I remember that day when Frost got hired, on Frost's press conference, he went down to the field to take pictures after the press conference. They brought like a football and whatever, and he was down there. And so he's in the northwest corner, the exact opposite corner of the self-guided tour. And then some people came through the self-guided tour spot in the southeast corner, and they started just shouting, yelling, screaming across the field. And Frost, I have this great picture of Frost like waving jubilantly across the field, which is I'll try and find it real quick.
Hello. It is. Hello. There will never be another introductory press conference that will match that one.
That had some fanfare.
There was cheerleaders, there was the band, there was like
I mean, they had it.
People
they had it
in
in that West Stadium.
Yeah. Third level, I think.
Here's the picture right here.
It's just waving.
Yeah, they had it over in the West Stadium.
Send that to Brett McMurphy and be like, next time you want to write about Frost in Nebraska, use this photo.
You're getting this guy. Where they have like the overhang from the next level. There, it's sort of like an atrium type of thing. And people
That's
were
the third level, right?
People were hanging over that, third to the fourth.
I feel like
or
they
maybe
always
fourth
do
to the fifth. No, it's fourth to the fifth.
Is it fourth to the fifth? They always do their AD and their like they. That's like they're bigger, because they lack a space for that. Otherwise,
sure. Maybe they'll have that going
it's
forward.
Supposed to be the more like I don't know.
But there was people in there hanging over the rails and like cheering. I mean, we're talking about every former player you can imagine. People who's had anything to do with it. They were all there that day. And then Scott Frost went down to the field and
took a photo for you.
Took a picture. That was after, of course, he said, "Don't talk about my family. Don't do it." And then people really didn't. And then he still got mad anyway and got fired. All right, let's take a break. Tim Verghese is our next guest. Oh, by the way, Randy writes in. He says one of the grandfathered season ticket holders going away. He said that Dan had said that many of those folks who are grandfathered in will remain. But once again, there's this whole process that they haven't exactly figured out because they have to know who's getting displaced and when, and you don't know until you know. So let's take a break. Tim Verghese joins us on the other side on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska. Tim, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. Draft, everything work out? I mean, are you just parked at the couch all weekend watching the draft, or how do you consume it as a draft head?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of for Friday for sure. It was a lot of on the laptop. Saturday I was checking in. I was surprised, I think, by some of the run on tight ends and certain things on day 2, and weirdly, I think the run at a few different positions beyond tight end this year kind of moved me off of the last few rounds, just because I mean once we got into the 6th and 7th. It was a few positions where there were some names coming off where I was pretty surprised those guys were even getting drafted. But that was the state of this draft. We knew it wasn't a super deep one, but it was really interesting to see some of the names that.
You were surprised that Ethan Kaliakmanis was drafted over Garrett Nussmeier?
Yeah, that was something. And then did Luke Altmaier get taken? I don't believe he did. That was another one that was just weird to me.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of strange ones, and from a logistical standpoint, you often put out photos of these guys that you saw when they were in high school. Do you have like a folder set off to the side so that you have it ready to go, or are you having to search through your phone as these pics are coming up? Because you have to have thousands of these photos somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like so for some of them, I have the like receipt saved for a reason. It's like something I want to use down the line to prove my worth to like a college coach or whatever down the line. I don't know, but so some of it is just receipts I've saved for like actual work purposes, and some of it is just it's a cool picture I've taken, and I remember the kid, and I have to go back through my kind of Lightroom archive of pictures I've edited and see if I can find it. I try and do a good job of labeling and making sure all the photos that I publish are like labeled and set aside somewhere in a good spot, but it's not often the case. Sometimes I have to do an actual deep dive.
All right, Tim. Let's move on from the draft and go to recruiting here. Corey Hadley committed over the weekend, 27. He is a player from Sandy Creek, Tyrone, Georgia, safety. Tell us about Corey Hadley. What do we know? I mean, obviously a highly ranked guy and joins the club for Nebraska's 27 class.
Yeah, no doubt. Number 7 safety in the country. So Nebraska now has 2 top 10 safety commits here in the 27 cycle, and Torrey Pittman and Corey Hadley. And, one hand, this starts to shape what Nebraska's, doing on the defensive side of the ball moving forward. This one felt like a matter of time. It was just a matter of when. I felt this way for some time now. He made it back to campus last summer, or like his second visit to campus was last summer. He made it back to campus for a third time in the fall. But his familiarity with this program, his interest in the program goes further than that. Addison Williams, he's known since middle school. Addison Williams was the first to offer him when Williams was at UCF. They've maintained a pretty strong relationship dating back to his time at UCF, picked up where they left off once Williams joined the staff here at Nebraska. Like I said, he visited multiple times in the first year Williams was on staff. Has been back on campus multiple times this offseason. He's loved everything he's heard about the staff, what he's seen from and learned about the staff through each passing visit. Then you look at the frame, he's 6'1", 180 pounds, still kind of filling into that frame, but I think we've liked the physical development you've seen from a sophomore to junior year. Now this offseason going into his senior year, the continued physical development we've seen from him. As a player, this is a versatile DB, and like we've talked about a couple times when we're talking about the cycle, a key goal for Nebraska here is finding a body capable of potentially working into that nickel role. And Hadley, and both Hadley and Pittman are capable of that. I think both are maybe better safeties long term, but both have the versatility, the athleticism to fill into that nickel role, the traits Nebraska is looking for there from a physical standpoint and from a coverage standpoint. You watch Hadley on tape, he's a safety that can play that true kind of center field role, that can cover sideline to sideline. He's got good ball skills, good instincts at the tackle point as well, and a guy who I think needs to clean up his tackling a little bit. Would like to see him wrap up a little more consistently, but he's got a good downhill trigger at his best, I think, coming downhill and working side to side. But can flip his hips, can turn and run with wide receivers downfield. A really good addition for the staff. Again, felt like a matter of time, and I think more than anything now gives you some clarity in how Nebraska would like to address defensive back moving forward, whether that's adding 2 more cornerbacks, whether that's adding a corner and a true nickel. However they want to move forward now, they have a little more flexibility. And now you have 2 kind of what you would hope are kind of cornerstone pieces for this defense moving forward in Torrey Pittman and Corey Hadley to kind of build this class around. They still have some work to do at linebacker, still have some work to do along the defensive front, but I like where they're at in the secondary so far.
What was the catalyst for why now for the decision? Corey Hadley had official visits set up with, I think, Georgia Tech. I don't remember who the other school was, Nebraska. And so he ends up shutting it down in late April. Any particular reason why Nebraska is able to get things closed down now as opposed to potentially taking those June visits?
Yeah, so he talked with Rivals' Chad Simmons last night about his decision and why it was Nebraska, and just kind of said he's back on campus in March and said it was a back and forth between him and people in his camp, between his trainers, parents, and people like that. Just it felt like, is this the place? He said on record he felt like Nebraska was home after his first visit, and each passing visit it felt more and more like home. And I think a thing for him was just debating, is this feel right? And he said he was driving home this weekend or from a training session with his brother, was just sitting in the car and thinking, and was like, yeah, you know what, this is home. This is the place for me. This is where I need to be. I don't know why I'm waiting any longer. So now the question actually is he going to make some of these official visits? He said as long as schools are going to honor that and honor his OV while he's completely committed, he hopes to take them, but I think it's going to be an ongoing conversation between him and Nebraska. The important thing to know is, yeah, he's 100% committed. He shut down, but because of the relationships he's built, because of where he's at in his process and some of that, if the schools are willing to honor it, he's wanting to go on these official visits. The question is Nebraska going to let him? I don't necessarily know if they will, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the coming weeks we get some clarity on that, and he announces he's only making the one official visit to Nebraska.
I don't know that we ever do we have enough information to have an answer one way or the other to if Nebraska either allows that or likes it or does it when their committed guys make visits elsewhere. I mean, I know it's a really touchy subject with like all college football coaches. I'm not sure. Do we have enough information to know where Matt Rule stands on it?
I think to this point, I don't believe they've let a committed prospect take an official visit elsewhere. At least off the top of my head, I can't remember the last time they did. If they did, it's a guy they either think they're like the closest we've seen is a guy they think is either silently committed or close to committing that makes an official visit elsewhere. I don't believe, at least off the top of my head, that we've seen a committed prospect make a visit elsewhere. So yeah, I don't think we can say for certain, but it's just the thing of, I mean, reading between the lines in his decision, like, again, this came somewhat on a whim, the decision to commit. And my read on it is he would ideally like to, honor his commitment to making those official visits while still honoring his commitment to Nebraska. Sounds like it's something he just wants to work out, but I would imagine just my read on his phrasing of it and what I've been able to pick up from a couple other schools in Nebraska is I think those other visits are going to get canceled.
Tim, a lot of times when Nebraska picks up a commitment, the next thing that pops up on people's mind is who's next. So if you want to throw some darts here on Happer and Schaefer, who do you think the next commitment is for Nebraska in the 2027 class?
Yeah, I think there are a few names that make some sense here. One is Barrett Cottrell, in-state target, of course, out of Ashland Greenwood. He's been working he's been sitting down with his family. I mean, we're in active conversation and still trying to figure out when he wants to make this decision. At one point, he was considering making a spring decision. Now he's debating, do I settle down and make a decision now in spring, or do I take an official visit or two and then make a decision? So that's where he's at in this process, but wouldn't surprise me necessarily if he decides to shut things down and announce his commitment. in the coming days, if not weeks, after a stretch of spring visits. He's one I would keep a close eye on. In the defensive back room itself, maybe keep an eye on Bryce Williams. Four-star cornerback was back on campus last weekend. Nebraska's done well in that recruitment. I already have a prediction into land his commitment. And again, now that Nebraska has another DB commitment, these spots, the class size is getting a little smaller. We said they're only taking 3 to 4 DBs this cycle. There's only 1 to 2 spots left. I think there's going to be a bit of a rush to try and claim it because Nebraska's in on a few DBs. And coming off his latest visit, still think Nebraska's well positioned for Williams. He does want to make some official visits, but to this point, Nebraska's the only one he's set. He's one, again, wouldn't surprise me if he chooses to shut things down here this spring. A third name, if you wanted to put a third name out there, would be Kobe Rhymes, the linebacker out of North Kansas City. Nebraska is working to get a linebacker commit, a top linebacker target this cycle. Rhymes is up there, one of the top targets for the program this cycle. He's picked up a few national offers. He's got Ohio State and Georgia, Oregon, a few others in the mix. Has really never made it out of the region except to make one visit to Oregon last fall. Oregon continues to keep tabs on him, but this is a recruitment that feels like it's going to come down to programs closer to home: Nebraska, Missouri, Kansas State. Again, like I said, he's got some of these big national offers, but he's yet to visit. And I think the longer he goes without visiting those schools, the more confident I grow in Nebraska's chances of landing him. But Nebraska's been the one program that he keeps coming back to. He's been back a couple times already this offseason. It's a program he's quite familiar with. He camped last summer. He's developed some good relationships on staff. They continue to go check in on him out at North Kansas City. That's another one. Like Hadley, just feels like a matter of time, even though that's a recruitment that I think is a bit more hard to read in the sense that he's a wild card. Like it just takes one visit out to Ohio State, one visit out to one of these national programs for the momentum and this thing to swing. But as of now, I think Nebraska's well positioned. And so those are 3, I think, before we get into official visits, could make decisions. I don't necessarily know if there are too many others, but I mean, Nebraska's made some new offers. They're working to get guys on campus, and they're doing a good job despite not having practices. I mean, look, in the last week alone, they've gotten 3 4-star defenders back on campus. Like it's impressive work that they're able to get some of these guys back on campus, even when nothing's really happening on campus.
All right, Tim, we will let you go. Always appreciate the updates. Great stuff as always. We will talk to you next week.
Appreciate you guys.
Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska, draft takes and recruiting takes and all sorts of things from Tim, as always. We will take a quick time out. We'll come back. I have a story that you may have missed over the weekend in Major League Baseball. So we'll do that when we return on 1620 The Zone. Alex Cora was fired over the weekend. Fired. Along with many other members of the Boston Red Sox staff. Alex Cora also afterwards tweeted out something along the lines of, "I'm happy." I believe it was actually, and I quote, I'm happy," with a smiley face after being fired in the middle of the night. Here's a story from Chris Cotillo of BassLive.com. In the minutes after the Boston Red Sox routed the Orioles 17-1 on Saturday afternoon in Baltimore, Alex Cora cracked a beer, joked with players, and lauded his team for playing a complete game that snapped a 4-game losing streak. Post-game dinner plans were made after an early adjusted 12:05 start at Camden Yards. And when Cora and his staff returned to the Four Seasons in Baltimore, an organizational shakeup awaited them. John Henry, Sam Kennedy, the CEO, Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow, all of whom were not scheduled to be on the road trip, told them all that they were fired. Then the real fun happens after that. Ironically, this was mentioned by social media. The van that the fired coaches were then piled into was a shuttle by the company, quote, Coaches for Hire LLC was the name of the shuttle company, which is a little on the nose, I would say. Picked all those guys up and got them after there. In the hours after the news hit the club, the group of fired coaches drank together and reminisced at the hotel. By about 9 o'clock, the 6 fired or reassigned coaches, a group consisting of bench coach Ramon Vasquez, hitting coach Pete Fatse, and third base coach Kyle Hudson, and Dylan Lawson, Major League hitting strategy coach Joe Cronin, and Jason Varitek assumed their seats on the shuttle. Minutes later, Cora emerged, hat backwards while pushing a carry-on suitcase, was the last to board a van before the doors closed. In his last moments with the team, he thanked them, blah, blah, blah. He also reached out to multiple reporters who covered the team and said, quote, "I'm happy." Jason Varitek took the news in a little bit of a different way. Then they were delivering basically the coaches back to their homes, the fired coaches back to their homes, and the organization was rocked on the inside. Meanwhile, Cotillo tells a story about how Cora doesn't really care, doesn't seem to care all that much about him getting fired. By the middle of the night, Cora broke his silence publicly. At around 1 a.m. Eastern, there he was on Instagram, posting with his former lieutenants all smiles next to the private jet that took them back to Massachusetts. It was a not-so-subtle message, just like a 4:12 a.m. tweet from Cora, that he was trying to take the news in stride, even if he privately stewed. It took just a couple hours for Cora to unfollow the Red Sox, his employers, for much of the last decade on social media apps. Just before 4 a.m., Cora sent a reply all to Kennedy's initial email to every single member of the Red Sox organization announcing the changes. And Cora responded with the email, "The Coras will be okay," with a winking face emoji. And then finally he went to bed. Afterwards.
What a line.
Let's put a bow on it.
Finally.
What a line. Yeah.
Seems so like there's some maybe dysfunction in this organization.
Well, Alex Cora is a dysfunctional human being. So you got to start there. I mean, his involvement was immense in the sign stealing scandal. His time in Houston was filled with other controversies. He tried to fight, I think, one of the play-by-play announcers on a team airplane because he had gotten drunk and didn't like what was said during one of the broadcasts.
Cool.
This is a guy that has a lot of emotions. And I kind of forgot he'd been the manager for a really long time.
Yeah.
I was thinking in my head he'd been there for 4 years, way more than 4 years. 2018 through 2019, and then he got suspended for the COVID year, which whatever. And so then 2021, he's rehired by the Red Sox, and up until now, 2026. How many times do you think they made the playoffs in that stretch?
Since when to when?
2018 to 2026.
Another one in the World Series in 18.
They won 108 games that year.
Yeah, they were really good. I want to say probably after that 2 more times.
Yeah, you're right. They lost in the ALCS to Houston in 2021. They lost in the AL wild card to the Yankees last year.
Yep. And they've started poorly this year. However, they did win that last game 17-1.
Yeah.
And then they canned them anyway. It was great.
Yeah, I don't know that 18 runs would have made enough of a difference.
Jason Varitek, who is loved.
Did they bring him back already?
So they said that they were going to reassign him in the organization, and then he was also pictured in that private the outside the PJ smiling picture,
smiling PJs,
and I don't know that, and I think I saw a tweet from him over the weekend, made me feel like he's probably not taking that reassignment.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
He's just Jason Varitek done from the Red Sox organization.
There's the Red Sox have this core love of Jason Varitek that I will never understand.
It's amazing. You go to like a Red Sox game and you will see, jerseys from all different eras and whatever. Jason Varitek is like the most popular Red Sox jersey I see.
No, you just go to watch. I mean, I used to go with my dad all the time to the Red Sox Royals at Kauffman, and there'd be, 15,000 Boston people there because they'd make the trip out to go to the game.
And it was Jason Varitek jerseys.
All Jason Varitek jerseys.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even one of the 5 best players in their run of World Series.
I don't know what
I never think of Jason Varitek outside of the context of he's beloved in a weird way by the Red Sox.
He was fine.
It's not like he was bad. He just, he wasn't that good.
No, I agree with you.
There's
something about fans.
I think it's because he punched A-Rod. I think really won over.
I would imagine that doesn't hurt. Yes.
Lots of people have wanted to. He actually did it.
And especially Red Sox fans. Lots of wanting to punch A-Rod.
Which I think is justified generally.
Lots of wanting to punch
anybody
A-Rod.
wanting to punch A-Rod is justified.
There was the one time and then the subsequent times after that. The one time where he was famously basically traded to the Red Sox and then not.
Oh, man. What a wild day.
What a wild day. And then
the Chris Paul to the Lakers of Major League Baseball.
And then there was subsequent times after that in which, they wanted to punch A-Rod. And then Jason Varitek actually did it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just jealousy. Everybody else wanted to punch
I talked
A-Rod.
myself into him being a legend because of it. So I'm back in on it. I remember the punch.
Hey, he won a couple he won a couple of World Series, right? He was still around in 07.
04 and 07, yeah.
To sweep Rocktober out of the World Series. So the Coras are going to be okay, at least according to Alex Cora. Wink face. Also,
and then he went to bed.
They got to get that thing like we have where you get to restrict company-wide emails. Not everybody gets to send company-wide emails. Only some people can.
Only some.
That's actually a good thing for the record. It's a very positive thing. All right. 9:00 hour is coming up. We'll talk about Emmett Johnson a little bit and his landing place. People have wanted to talk about that. And plenty more. Brunts will join us as well. Coming up on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. And now it's 9 o'clock on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Peter Krenzer with you this morning. Emmett Johnson drafted in the 5th round by the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's the one player drafted for Nebraska this year. He has to wait all the way to the 5th.
Pretty great fit, though, I think, all in all.
I think so,
for him. I think, they're in a situation where you have Kenneth Walker, obviously, but Kenneth Walker famously ceded a lot of playing time to Zach Charbonnet in goal line area. I don't know that that's where you're going to see.
That's
Emmett
not
Johnson
Kenneth Walker's
shine.
fault, by the way.
No, that was whatever Clint Kubiak was doing, or,
what is Clint Kubiak cooking? Nobody knows.
We'll find out in Vegas. No, Charbonnet was used as a pass catching back in a lot of ways. And so I'm curious if there's an opportunity. Now, you and I are both Kenneth Walker people, though, right? Like I think he's really good, and I feel like they sort of underutilized him until Charbonnet got hurt. Mm-hmm. So, but I think it's a good spot for him. I think that Kansas City is going to be able to utilize him in a way that he'll have value there, and he'll play special teams probably early in his career and have to kind of work his way on the field more as a running back.
If you were if you were trying to manage Kenneth Walker's like workload because in the hopes that he could have more longevity in his career, why would you let him go anyway? I'm wondering about that a little bit over the last couple of days. But anyway, yeah, I do think he goes into a pretty situation. I think their other back that they have in that room was the DeMercado guy from Arizona.
And Brashad Smith from UCF, I think last year was this like 7th round running back that they took that had a little hype.
It should, I would imagine this results in a roster spot at the very least for Emmett Johnson.
A 5th round pick if you're not going.
Well, I mean, sometimes it happens that way. Usually not with that position,
right?
If you're drafting a running back, feels like they're probably going to you're going to give them a chance to stick around for at least a little while. And so, yeah, I do think it's a pretty good spot as far as the landings, as far as the landing spot, not only, regionally, because there's a lot of Chiefs fans around here and for him being from Minneapolis, that's not so bad either, but also from an offensive fit standpoint, I think he'll do well. I think he'll hang around for a while in the NFL.
I don't think he's ever going to be like a, 3-year starter in the NFL or anything like that, but I think he's going to have a nice career just because he's a versatile enough guy. He can help you in special teams. He can do things as a 3rd down running back. He's got to get better in pass protection, but I think that he could have a nice, successful NFL career for sure.
I think so too. And so Emmett's the only guy drafted, and there was several undrafted free agents. Sierra Wright to Cincinnati.
Deshaun Singleton to Kansas City, I believe.
Deshaun Singleton to Kansas City. And then 2 to Denver, Dane Key and Desan McCullough.
Okay.
So Denver has been, didn't they? I think Denver picked up a Nebraska guy last year.
Garrett Nelson. Garrett Nelson has bounced on and off their practice squad for a little while.
Garrett Nelson.
Yeah.
He's been gone for a while now.
It's great because every time it happens, I text Parker and he's like, we have this whole routine where it's like, oh, hey, how you doing? And then he goes away and then he comes back.
Oh, yeah, by the way, Garrett Nelson's back again. Yep, Garrett Nelson got cut again. And you guys say hi to each other.
I sent him the photo that I took of Garrett Nelson marching up to Sioux before the Akron game that never happened. And he has his bleached blonde hair. I was like, you should pass this out in the locker room.
It's great.
This is what this man looked like at one point in time.
And he wasn't he like trying to approach him and
he shook his hand.
I don't want to shake your hand. Yeah.
The look on Sue's face in the photo that I have is unbelievable.
I believe I've seen it before.
Oh, I use it more than I should.
He was looking at him like, who is this weird?
It's bemused like, who the hell is
this weirdo with a mullet, with a bleach blonde mullet?
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense. And so just the one drafted this year, as we talked about sort of what that means, a little bit earlier in the show. We get a question from YouTube. Matthew says, will EJ have a longer career than Amir? God,
Amir's had a nice career.
Yeah, that's a long way, man.
Stretched it out about as long as he could have.
And he's
2015 and now?
And he's producing on every team he signs for.
It would be hard for me to even project really anyone having a longer career than Amir Abdullah. I mean, seriously.
It's probably more similar to like a Rex Burkhead, who still had like a 6-7 year run where he even played some slot wide receiver at times.
Yeah.
And so
stuck around.
The Amir thing is like Amir. I think people just like Amir so much as a person that he gets into these locker rooms and people just love him. I know in Minnesota he was very, very popular and he's really involved in the community up there. And I imagine it was the same in Vegas and with the Colts and everywhere else. And guys that go out and play special teams and work hard and don't cause issues can have a long career in the NFL if they physically can do it. And Amir's still quick at his age.
He is, yeah.
You see some of the highlights.
It's amazing.
He had like a 30-yard touchdown this past year.
He did. He had a long touchdown run.
He contributed a lot on the Colts special teams. He was pretty consistent.
Did he get hurt again this year? Or was that
an ankle?
Yeah.
He might have missed a couple.
Look at me talking like a coach. He's got an ankle. He's got a knee.
Yeah, he's got an ankle. He's got one of those things.
Looks like an ankle.
So it's pretty cool. Then Nebraska decided that they were going to put out a 11-minute video of Matt Rule and EJ Barthel talking about a private jet. Kind of ruined it for me.
You could just not watch the video.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
There's always a video.
I heard about this and I was like, nope.
I watched the first.
In a past life, I might have to watch this and then write about it.
I did
House Rules live on the PJ.
Yeah. I did the thing where I kind of scrolled through it a little bit just to see what was going to happen in the video, and they kept talking. They were still on the private jet. They were still on the jet talking about Emmett Johnson. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of ground was covered in the thing, but it was like, hey, it's us two, and we're on our way up to Emmett Johnson's draft party. And by the way, that was on Saturday for him to not get drafted. And then, they decided to put out the 11-minute weird.
I think I watched them dap up, which was in the first 10 seconds of the video, and then proceeded to click off the video.
I wish they would have had
content.
Ron Brown talking about how when he was the one that more or less recruited Emmett Johnson.
Right. Yeah.
But they didn't have a running backs coach at that time.
Maybe that was covered in the video. Maybe that was covered
in
the 11-minute video.
I think I would have enjoyed Ron Brown's take on the whole thing.
Yeah, there was just when I was skipping around, they were talking about, how far he's come in his journey and, the development of people at Nebraska and stuff like that. I'm like, where's Emmett? That's what I scrolled through the video and the whole time I just said, where is he? Is he going to show up in this? Because I thought it was going to be a whole oh, here's a window into his draft party. No, it was just Matt Rule and EJ Barthel talking on a plane.
Yeah.
Which was great. I'm glad we got that. All right. So that's however you took in the NFL draft. That I suppose is up to you if you watch the 11-minute video or not. Here's how Diego Pavia took in the NFL draft, not getting drafted at all. Very polarizing was Diego Pavia.
Is it that polarizing?
No, some people really like Diego Pavia.
Yeah.
I don't know who I don't know what kind of bad things these people have gotten into their lives to where they would like Diego Pavia, but
we've had one of them on our show.
I know. Michael, we love Michael, but he's very questionable in a variety of different ways. I can't believe he likes Diego Pavia. Diego Pavia did swallow his pride and take a rookie mini camp invite with the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
This weekend. But he was not so happy. Of course, famously, Diego Pavia, after not winning the Heisman, posted on Instagram with a photo caption, "Bleep all the voters," with a thumbs down emoji. And then he later apologized for that. And I don't know if this was real or not, but I think there was something over the weekend where he said bleep the NFL as well.
I was going to say, do we have a bleep all the GM?
Bleep the entire NFL. It's got to be somebody else's fault that Diego Pavia didn't get drafted. They must just hate him.
Sometimes it's hard to make it in the NFL as a 5'8" quarterback. That's just a difficulty to be realized.
Well, what if can I interest you in this, Schaefer? Can I interest you in a 5'8" quarterback who's probably going to be very divisive and possibly a problem in your locker room?
You could interest me in that, and I would say, no, my locker room doesn't want it. We would rather that go somewhere else.
That's what most normal teams would say.
And they did.
They did not draft him.
They did not draft him.
Is he the most notable of the undrafted free? Like,
I
not
would
in terms
think
of
so.
NFL career, but just like overall college player.
I did get second in the Heisman.
Yeah.
And he
Bleep
was
him.
I think I saw that he was like the only Heisman finalist to not get drafted in a very long time.
good news for Diego Pavia. He has one guy in his corner, Deion Sanders.
Oh, good.
Deion Sanders posted on X over the weekend at Diego Pavia 02. I believe in you, my man. Stay strong and don't let up. Show them what time it is and never allow them to forget. Much love and God bless you. #Prime.
Okay.
2014. That was the last time a Heisman finalist did not get
Who was
drafted.
Ooh,
I wish it
let's
said.
guess.
I wish it said. Who was a Heisman? So 2014.
Feels like an Alabama running back kind of year.
It sure does.
maybe.
That was the Mariota year.
Okay.
So Mariota, Melvin Gordon, Amari Cooper, Trevon Boykin, and JT Barrett. It was probably JT Barrett.
There was
Oh,
5
JT Barrett
finalists?
might have got
That's
drafted.
A lot of finalists.
Trevon Boykin. Who's
Remember
Trevon?
him from TCU?
I do not.
Oh, he was good.
Yeah.
He was good.
Yep.
The rest of the names I knew easily. Trevon Boykin, I got nothing.
He was probably the non-drafted
Just a
guy.
blind spot.
Amari
And
Cooper,
that was the year they went like 12-1 and didn't get in over Ohio State.
I believe that was
Yeah.
that year.
But
That
then
seems
Ohio
like too
State
many
won the national
finalists.
championship with Cardale Jones.
Amari Cooper
Oh, yeah.
got drafted 4th overall. Melvin Gordon got drafted 15th overall. Marcus Mariota got drafted 2nd overall. And JT Barrett he might not have got drafted that year. Maybe he got drafted the next year.
He would have went in the he came back. Because
Yeah.
remember, you had JT Barrett and Cardale Jones sharing the quarterback job.
Yes, that's right. So he would have been around for another multiple years. Yeah, he would have been around for 3 more years.
Oh, wow.
JT Barrett was. So I think he eventually did get drafted. But yeah, that might be your answer, Trevon Boykin.
I don't remember Trevon. I just don't.
Other finalists that year, Jameis Winston, Tevin Coleman, Dak Prescott, Scooby Wright, and Bryce Petty.
I know all of those guys.
What a moment in time.
Scooby Wright, the Arizona defender.
The Arizona
right?
linebacker, yes.
Yeah.
99 tackles that year. They all go into the world with Diego Pavia of not getting drafted. Congratulations, Diego. Nice job. Good point from Platcat. If UFL were smart, they'd pay him $1 million to hop in the league right now. That he actually should do that. Or they should just reboot the. I mean, I guess this is kind of the XFL and the UFL combine, or whatever it is. They just reboot that, completely centered around Diego Pavia. You can just call it Diego Pavia FL.
It seems like the sort of thing where the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the CFL should get involved because he seems like he could be a pretty good CFL.
Too distinguished.
Too distinguished.
Too distinguished. The Canadian Football League thinks highly of itself.
They don't want to.
They have a draft. They have the whole thing. Like, yeah, no, don't be playing around with the riffraff.
Well, I mean,
Diego Pavia is riffraff.
He's definitely
riffraff in
but
the
he's
Grey
good enough to
Cup.
play quarterback for him.
Maybe.
Do the Hamilton Tiger Cats want to win, or do they want to just keep letting one of the Rough Riders win?
I don't know. Are the Hamilton Tiger Cats no good anymore?
I don't know. They were good for a while. They're just my favorite CFL team to say. It's way more fun to say Tiger Cats than it is Alouettes.
Not the Montreal Alouettes.
No, that's the only CFL organization I've ever called in my career.
Oh, yeah. For who?
David Neville.
Whoa.
So they their defensive coordinator was the head coach of Team Canada when David Neville was playing, famously Canadian. And so I call up there and they answered in French. And then I had to say, parlez-vous anglais?
Yikes.
And they said, yes, we speak English. And that was the only time I've used French in my
I'm
career.
really glad that. So were you prepared to say that? Or you just looked that
no,
up?
but I took one French class in my entire life. And so
it worked. It paid off.
And it all came rushing back.
I combined Spanish and French there because I'm pretty sure it's not English in French.
No,
so.
but they got it.
But parlez-vous got me, into the door. So
You did pretty good. By the way, the Hamilton Tiger Cats did win the East Division last year again, and then the West Division belonged to the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
yeah, I told you the Rough Riders.
Saskatchewan?
So there you go. I don't know who won the Grey Cup last year.
I think Saskatchewan.
Let's find out. It was It was indeed Saskatchewan, at least according to the quick Google.
I'm all
I
over
probably came across that score when I was.
They beat Montreal, so Hamilton must have
On my
lost
phone.
in the
Exactly.
playoffs.
They need Diego Pavia.
Classic Eastern Conference Finals loss for Hamilton. They need Diego Pavia to put him over the limit. So
Everyone agrees.
The Tiger
if he could go 9-4
Cats
at Vanderbilt, he could definitely take Hamilton to the Grey Cup.
Right?
and sell
You
record
can win 9
merch.
games in the SEC. You can get to the Grey Cup.
I think that's actually a corollary. Yes. Let's take a break. Michael Bruntz is our next guest. We'll talk some baseball and more with him coming up on 1620 The Zone.
Broncos country, let's ride.
The Bronx is back in town. The Bronx is back in town. I said the Bronx is back in town. The Bronx is back in town. The Bronx is back in town. Bronx is back in town. Bronx is back in town. Bronx is back in town.
Michael Brooks, Husker 24/7 on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone.
All right, joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by Michael Brunts from Husker 24/7. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
All right, so be honest, when AJ Putty came to the plate this weekend, what came to your mind? Because I know what came to my mind.
All signs point to yes, or it feels like an Arby's night.
Yep. You know what came to my mind. So that's all I got to say about that. What happened on Friday to Nebraska baseball? How dare they lose a baseball game?
Yeah, I mean it's been kind of the Friday night issue all season, right? Like they've struggled to get depth on starts from their Friday night pitcher, regardless of who it is. The Ty Horn's inability to get into the fifth is one of the reasons why he's now pitching out of the bullpen and doing a great job out of the bullpen, by the way. And then, Cooper Katsky's had that role for 2 weeks now, and he was on short rest coming off the Oregon series. He pitched on Sunday and then pitched on Friday against USC. Things didn't look, he wasn't as sharp as he normally is. And you kind of wondered, well, is it, the short week, new role, that kind of stuff. And then kind of the same thing against Illinois too, where got into some early trouble. Guy, runs into a grand slam, and all of a sudden you're down 7-0. So it's hard to win baseball games when you spot a team that kind of a lead. But they've got to get that figured out. And it just, I mean, you guys know this. Like, if you're having to go to your bullpen early on Fridays, it just really screws with your whole weekend. And I know Illinois is middle of the pack, Big Ten standings wise, but I mean to come back and win a series on the road after you lose on Friday it's not easy to do, regardless of who the opponent is. So they got done what they needed to, but the Friday night stuff I think has kind of been a source of frustration in some ways. It's like you just need somebody to be able to get you into the fifth inning, and Nebraska hasn't been able to do that.
Does it tell you anything about the quality? I mean, you mentioned it. They've tried out a whole bunch of different guys in that spot, and it's funny because it's guys who have, for the most part, pitched well in other days of the week and other days of the weekend. But there is something different about Friday night in college baseball because everybody's got a really good guy to go up against whoever you're going to put out there. Like, is there a bigger thing in there about the quality of Nebraska's frontline starting compared to, the general quality of Friday night starters around the country?
No, I mean, I think those guys are capable of doing it. I mean, they've done it in the past. Yeah. Katsky's, looked great as a Friday night guy at Miami of Ohio. He's done it on other nights too. I think they like Yasa in that Saturday role, so I don't think they'll ever move him there as an option. But I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just the control just hasn't been as good as it is normally. I mean, Cooper Katsky doesn't walk guys typically, and it's something that he's done the last 2 times out. So I don't know if there's an adjustment that needs to be made there. Nebraska's got the horses to line up with, whoever they're going to see in the Big Ten there. So, I don't know if it's a mental thing or what, but it's something that's hurt them. They've been able to overcome it. I mean, they came back against USC on Friday, in a big way, and they just have to find a way to get off to a better start there.
We saw Will Jeske for a few more games here over the weekend. He started the last 4. It's kind of been a while since he's had that much playing time. It's sort of just still working through that injury that cost him most of March, or Was it you didn't want to mess with a lineup that had been relatively hot, or this is a guy that's kind of hit all year? He had another 3 hits again on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys actually saw any of the games this weekend. He's not running like a guy that's at 100%.
I saw a couple of the clips and I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean he's really kind of gritting through it, and they've been really kind of cautious, I think, with him because it was the Penn State series. He had kind of come back, was feeling good, and I don't know. I mean, it's not funny, but it is kind of funny. Like it seems like every ball that he was hitting, he was in a situation where he was having to leg something out. Like it was a ground ball in the hole where you're trying to beat it out at first base, or he was trying to leg out a double or something like that. It's like this is the worst possible player that you could have in this scenario right now. And so he re-aggravated it against Penn State, and I think they were just being careful with him. And I think going forward, if he can DH, they'd love him in that DH role. They batted him fourth yesterday. He's just he's a guy that usually can put the bat on the ball. He's hitting for power this year when he's had the chance to do it. So it's just been, a really kind of just bad hamstring that's really lingered. I mean, that's really the only reason for it. And, at least the one thing that they've been able to do, is having Drew Grigo take over that right field spot. They've kind of been able to settle on a lineup that I think works for them. And they've shuffled the DH role a little bit, but, I think if he's able to give them anything and the hamstring is holding up, I mean, I think he's going to be in that position for a while. He's a great hitter, but, it kind of makes me wince a little bit watching him run because you can tell he's still kind of not 100% for sure.
All right. Hosting regional alert. So I'm going to have an offshoot of the question here. So there's obviously the main question of, are they going to host a regional or not? Which
are we making them give a percent again every?
Oh yeah, go
week?
ahead. Yeah. Why don't we do that first before I ask the offshoot question?
Yeah, I was at what 30 last week.
Yeah,
is that where I was?
Yeah, I think you. You were maybe in the upper 20s. Are you coming down more?
No, I'll run it. I'll get close to 50. I'll say coin flip.
Whoa! What happened?
So look at where they came out of this weekend. They're at 13. You're starting to see that Nebraska is getting a lot of help from teams on its schedule. Like Stanford swept Florida State this weekend. I think they were up over 40 spots in the RPI based on that result, and they're now a top 100 RPI team after they were like Nebraska's worst loss for most of the year. So they're up there. Nebraska did lose the series to Kansas, but Kansas is apparently just an absolute wagon right now.
Machine.
They swept Kansas State. They're ahead of Nebraska in the RPI. USC also, who Nebraska beat the doors off of in Lincoln, swept Purdue. They're now a top 10 RPI team. So, I mean, it's looking okay, as long as Nebraska can kind of take care of its business. The schedule and scheduling difficult and the wins that Nebraska has are actually going to help them a little. I mean, they don't have a bad loss. I mean, maybe the worst loss now was the Friday night game to Illinois. So I'll go 50-50 on it now. That's where we're up to. According
to RPI, if you looked at the strict RPI rankings, that it's that one, and then the Stanford one is right next to it, and the Louisville one is right next to it. Which doesn't feel like they're that bad losses on the face.
Yeah, Stanford and Louisville, most years you're like, okay.
Yeah.
You lose to those teams, they're quality.
Okay, so here's go ahead, Bruns.
I was saying the Stanford game is a funny one too, because that was the one where they basically had to scramble because Katsky got sick on the fourth day of that tournament down in Arizona. So that's neither here nor there. Sorry to interrupt your question.
So do you think this team how much would they be positively or negatively affected? And I'm not talking about mentally, like I'm talking about like baseball wise, by playing or not playing postseason games here at Haymarket Park. Like I've wondered about that with this group, and like the answer to the question from a statistical standpoint, from what we've seen, is they've won everywhere. this year. It's not like they're so dramatically better at home than they are on the road. Like, I just wonder what that actually gains for them if they were to play at home in the first round of the tournament.
Well, I mean, it would be huge to play at home. I mean,
what do they lose? Like, what happens if you go on the road? Are you automatically at a disadvantage? I'm not trying to I'm obviously overthinking this a little bit, but I just mean like from a baseball perspective and how their game plays depending on park to park factors and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think as much with this. I know what you're saying. Like, I don't think as much with this team that, location matters as much. I think you look at them numbers wise, and, they hit for average. They can move the baseball fairly well. They hit this group hits for a little bit more power than maybe what they have in the past. A lot of doubles, some more home runs than they hit for in the past. So I don't think that drastically changes anything. I mean, I think this is a group that can really feed off of a home crowd. And I mean, you guys know statistically, like, if you host a regional, you're significantly more likely to advance than you are otherwise. But if you play it out, I mean, if you're Nebraska going somewhere as a 2, you're probably going to a place that's, a little bit lower, closer to 16 than you are 1 in the seedings. So, at that point, it's just kind of all about matchups. But I mean, I do think, it's a team it's a mature team. It's a group that's, like you said, has kind of won everywhere. And they don't really seem too bothered by, that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm trying to think. So they played at Auburn, which was a fairly, decent crowd. I don't know that they've played at a number of, hostile type places. I mean, at Oregon, they had a couple thousand. So, I mean, maybe that affects things a little bit. But I think in terms of the way that Nebraska, this version of Nebraska plays, I mean, I think they would be fine if they had to go somewhere else. But, just everything around it, you're at home, you've got the crowd behind you. I mean, you're probably looking at, 8,500 or whatever a game at Haymarket Park if you're able to host. I mean, that's what matters right there.
Right.
Has Jalen Wortley pitched his way back into sort of a role here with Nebraska again? He was utilized the Friday night game against South Carolina. He gave you Southern California. I don't know.
SEC Schaefer.
Yeah, that was a
interesting
botch. And then he pitched against Kansas. He pitched against Illinois. So he's thrown, 7 and 2/3 innings out of the 12 he's thrown all year. Has just been in the last 10 days or so. Is he going to be more involved in a factor as we get closer to postseason play?
Yeah, I think he will be. He's kind of had a wild ride through his career where, 2 years ago he was probably one of their better, relief options out of the pen. I don't think he was that healthy last year. I think he kind of battled some of that stuff. And I think they've kind of eased him back in this year. And he's, the thing that he's done is he's thrown strikes, a lot of them. And, that Friday night game against USC, he was probably the low-key story of that game because he gave them 3 really important innings in the middle of that one to kind of keep the score where it was, and calm things down a little bit. I mean, Nebraska, when you look at, what they have out of the pen, I mean, they don't have a lot of left-handed options that can kind of come in and give you multiple innings. Clevenger's more of a situational guy. Caleb Clark, probably an inning or so is usually where he's at. And I think that's, a role that Wordley's been able to kind of slide into the last couple of weeks. And, if you can throw strikes on the bullpen, you don't get too shaken up by having to inherit runners. They're going to keep giving guys like that a chance. And, he's a veteran. I don't know if, he's getting towards the end of his Nebraska career, if that kind of focuses you a little bit more when you've only got a couple months left. But he's been really good recently, and it's kind of come at a pretty good time. Obviously, we've talked about the issues on Friday nights with getting that depth, and you can have somebody to come in and throw strikes for 2 or 3 innings. That's a luxury.
All right, Bruns. We'll let you go. K-State Power Cat tomorrow. Although you won't have to hear it, fortunately enough, because it'll be at Haymarket Park.
Yeah, my youngest daughter was asking me. She saw the mascot and she was like, "Why does it have human arms?" And I was like, "Well, that's a very astute question. So if anybody knows, let me know."
All right, tweet at Bruns.
Yep.
Tell them why the cat for K-State has arms. All right, thanks, Bruns. See you later.
Yep.
Michael Bruns from Husker 24/7.
I can only hope that his daughter fixates on Willie the Wildcat the way that he fixates on Purdue.
I almost said his name and then I briefly second guessed myself. Willie, yeah,
Willie the Wildcat.
Because I was thinking of Villanova. Villanova's is Wildy Cat.
Okay.
Which I think is possibly funnier.
Oh yeah,
Wildy Cat.
Wildy Cat.
Get it? Wildcat.
Yeah.
Wildcat. By the way,
is it Will with one L?
Will D Cat.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can think of Will Cordero has one L.
Will Venables.
Okay, there was maybe it's Will Venables.
Will Venable.
I think I'm thinking of Will Venables, and I said Will Cordero. Okay,
Maybe.
so that's probably because it's
There's
kind of
a couple Wills out
same
WILs out there. By the way, I was thinking of this while we were talking about regional seeding. So the NCAA made this very, very not secretive. I mean, they announced it and everything, kind of under the radar, just ever so slight tweak in the selection process last fall. They said they're going to seed the top 32 teams this year. Instead of seeding just the top 16, they're going to seed the top 32. That doesn't mean the 32 gets a host. I mean, you still get to, and the bottom 16 of that 32 are still going to get placed on, with geographical factors included and all those different things.
It's not just going to be a 132, 231.
They will rank them that way.
They're not going to place them.
They're not going to place them that way. That's from how I understand it. In order to provide more clarity.
But
clarity.
That seems
I believe if I'm reading it right, I believe that's the very minor change they decided to make.
I might be in the minority here, but if you're going to rank things like that, you just match it.
That's what I would think too.
I feel that way with the NCAA tournament where it's like, okay, if you think this team is one of the 16 best teams, then it should be a 4 seed and not a 5.
Right. It should be
It shouldn't matter if geographically it makes a little bit more sense for them to be at 6 over here. No, if you're ranking it out.
That's how you get the fun ones, though. I will say that. That is how you get as uneven as it is.
Yeah.
That is how you get the fun, weird matchups because you throw in the regionality.
You can still get weird.
Yeah, you can still get weird. That's for sure. So what you're saying is the top 1 seed should play the bottom
132,
2
231, 330.
So here's a CBS Sports article from August. In an effort to show a more in-depth selection process regarding regional postseason seeding, the NCAA's Division I Baseball Selection Committee will begin seeding invited teams numbers 1 through 32 for the season. Teams outside of the top 16 national seeds will be grouped based on geographic significance and other factors, a process that already takes place in soccer and volleyball postseason formats. With this change comes added clarity for schools who are on the cusp of garnering a top 16 seed in a host bid. Last season's national seeds in baseball, including a record-setting 8 SEC teams, which hosted the first round of a 4-team regional bracket play. So nothing really changes except for clarity, which we love. Let's take a quick break. We have our bracket sim, and we'll get you out of here on a Monday on 1620 The Zone. It's time to simulate a bracket, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, J-Man wrote in a Will Wheaton.
Oh,
I don't know who Will Wheaton is. Who's Will Wheaton?
Will Wheaton reads books. He's an actor.
Will Wheaton reads books. That's his job. American actor and writer. I've never really seen that guy before.
I'm pretty sure he does audiobooks as well.
Famous people named Will with one L. How do you even Google that? Yeah, it's a tough Google because Google will always think that you're talking about two L's. Anyway, let's go to the bracket sim while Peter and Schaefer check on single L Wills. I have a bracket in front of me that has the Lincoln Regional, the 11 seed Nebraska Cornhuskers hosting the following teams: Arizona State, Vanderbilt, and Southeastern Louisiana. Creighton, by the way, has made this bracket as well. They have been placed in Norman, Oklahoma, with West Virginia and the Campbell Camels.
That's a few times we've seen Vanderbilt placed in this.
Let's sim it. Here we go. Nebraska loses in the regional round. They lose to Arizona State. Sorry. Arizona State goes to Stark Vegas, where they lose to Mississippi State. Creighton does not get out of the regional round either. They lose somewhere along the way to West Virginia, who beats Oklahoma.
This CWS stinks.
This is a great College World Series, in my opinion. UCLA, Auburn, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, and Texas.
Just the SEC.
So much it's the SEC plus UCLA.
Play it in wherever they play the SEC tournament.
Hoover, you want to play it at the Hoover Met?
Play it in Hoover.
By the way, Georgia wins the national championship.
Georgia wins the SEC Conference Championship Part 2.
Well, maybe they do both of them. Who knows?
They might.
Does the Vandy Whistler travel to away regionals?
We were wondering this last
I know he's obviously traveling to the CWS.
Very curious.
But if he ascended to Lincoln, would that go over well? Most certainly not.
Almost for sure not. You'd have to bring back the lemonade, wee guy just to make sure.
Pretty sure it's woo.
I know. We've argued about this before. Now I go to the projected bracket where Nebraska is the 8th seed in the 8th national seed in the Lincoln Regional, and they bring in not Tony Vitello's Tennessee Volunteers, K-State, and Indiana State. That's a fun little regional. Creighton goes to one of the LA regionals. This time it's USC. Ooh, that's a region they could potentially win. Simulate. Nebraska advances out of the Lincoln Regional where they play Oregon State in the Super and lose. Sad. West Virginia yet again gets out of the region where Creighton was in. And here is your Connor World Series. UCLA, Oregon State, Texas, Southern Miss, Georgia Tech, Kansas, Mississippi State, and North Carolina. That's actually really fun.
That's a fun
egg. Isn't that a lot more fun?
It's actually really fun, yes.
And the key to fun is sprinkling in all sorts of conferences.
I have more fun for you. The championship series is Southern Miss and Georgia Tech.
I saw this, and I'm like, can I just sign up?
This is great.
One of these sign the contract offers that you
I
have
would
for
sign
me?
up.
Southern Miss wins the national championship over a home run hitting Georgia Tech, the Ramblin' Wreck.
I would like to sign up for this.
And Brett Favre celebrates on the field.
Oh, no. Brett, no, you're not allowed. Get out of here, please.
I like the please.
Please
get out of here.
Please get out of here. All right, that's our bracket sim for today. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everybody. And if you miss anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. Let's do a crossover on this rainy Monday with Matt coming up next.